Immortal Cultivation begins with time management. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 451. Shiding's wisdom recognizes Luo Yan. Lin Yuan's left with a look of doubt on his face. Even if he didn't say it, Luo Yan knew what he was going to do. He must have asked Kunlun's Hinran, who was guarding the Jade List, to confirm whether there was really a pervert who had drawn 2 buys in a row. According to Ling Yunpo's understanding, this statement was finally confirmed, so much so that when everyone in Shushan gathered later, Juan and Hei shared it as a joke. Of course, there is no need to elaborate on Ling Yunpo's memories here, because there are more important things here. Penglai King Temple. This time there are 2 people who have entered the top 12 of Baiyujing. The sensational news was passed back to Penglai, and a group of senior officials, including Chuandu sect leader and Shiding elder, were shocked and quickly rushed to Tianmu Mountain. Good. 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 Chuandu sect leader said good 3 times in a row. I think this is probably the 666 characteristic of the world of immortal cultivation. I didn't expect that we in Penglai can also produce 2 young talents. Shili immediately proudly puffed out his chest, with a lovely ruddy color on his face. The term young talents is not an exaggeration. After all, compared to these senior leaders who have a lifespan of several thousand years, Luo Yan and Shili, who are less than 200 years old, are indeed too young. Even if they're Yuning elders, they can't enter the top 12 when facing the Yuning elders of Kunlun and Shushan. I didn't expect to see hope here. No wonder everyone was excited and proud. Luo Yan was embarrassed. The goal of Shushan is to take half of the top 12, the goal of Kunlun is to win the first place in the competition, and the goal of Penglai is to get a place and be considered a success. As a result, when we really entered the top 12, we actually planned to celebrate. If the fellow Taoists of Kunlun and Shushan heard it, wouldn't they laugh their heads off? I, Luo Yan, really can't afford to lose that face. Sorry, I have to prepare for the next top 12 competition, so I won't accompany you to the celebration banquet tonight. What, will the Purple Mansion secret medicine be distributed in the evening? It's all thanks to the earnest teaching of the seniors of the sect. I really don't dare to take credit for it. Luo Yan said with a smile. I can only congratulate you, King Temple. My master is great. My Penglai is magnificent. Although it was an exaggerated lyrical sentence, he read it out with a rhythmic tone, and with the added bonus of the honest and loyal temperament of the hypocritical personality. None of the Penglai elders felt awkward, and they were all moved. There were even a few elders with high seniority who couldn't help hiding behind that crowd and secretly wiped the tears from the corners of their eyes with their sleeves. The hope of my Penglai King Temple lies in this boy. As for Shili, when most of the elders focused their attention on Luo Yan, he was naturally ignored. A few elders were more careful and inquired about the 2's record. They found that Shili actually hit 2 buys in the last round, so they had to admit that hope really lies in Luo Yan. Miss Shu was naturally very dissatisfied with this, but she couldn't lose her temper because everyone was present, so she decided to complain to her junior brother after everyone left. However, she soon forgot about it. What, there is a celebration banquet tonight? I want to eat delicious food. I want to eat a lot. In the evening, almost all the elders in Yu King Temple and their disciples came to the residence to attend the celebration banquet. The focus of the banquet was naturally Luo Yan and Shili, who successfully obtained the top 12 places. The second was the remaining 5 of the Penglai 7 sons. The lucky ones, such as Han Qiu, a disciple of Tianfu Tower, were not eliminated until the top 100. The unlucky ones, such as Bailin, a disciple of Shendan Pavilion, met Ling Yunpo in the first game. Of course, no matter where they stopped in the end, it did not prevent them from being the disciples of the Grandmaster level elders of their respective schools, so there was an endless stream of Penglai disciples who came to chat and make friends. In the words of the elders, this side played brilliantly, and that side played with style, and both sides were outstanding children of Penglai King Temple. The words were very beautiful, worthy at being the warm and humane Penglai, which was completely different from the solemn and rigid Kunlun and the cold and aggressive Shushan. However, Luo Yan carefully scanned the whole place and found that all the people who came to the celebration banquet were Penglai's direct disciples and inner disciples. There were a few outer disciples of Yu King Temple, who I remember also made it into the top 100, Ling Yunpo and Zisu had fought with them, but they did not appear at the celebration banquet at this time. I just don't know if it was because they just didn't have time to come, or because they were not good enough to receive an invitation. Based on Liu Yan's understanding of the values of the Orthodox Church, it is most likely the latter. After all, for the Orthodox Church, those with talent for cultivation go to the inner sect, and those without talent go to the outer sect. You don't even have talent for cultivation, how can you still be considered an excellent child? Can you be considered excellent if you can make it into the top 100 of by using? Nonsense, it's clearly just good luck, and you have been drawn weak people all the way. As long as they are outer disciples, let alone making it into the top 100, even if they're lucky enough to make it into the top 20, top 10, if they make it into the top 10, they can re-evaluate their talents to see if they are qualified to enter the inner sect. If their talents are good enough, they will be admitted back to the inner sect. This can only prove that there is a slight flaw in the talent selection mechanism, but it does not change the conclusion that outer disciples are not good enough. Very rigorous logic. At the celebration banquet, after Liu Yan dealt with another group of inner disciples who came to make friends, he heard Elder Shidin, who was a little tipsy, laughing and boasting with other elders not far away. At the beginning, oh, I'm not lying, I realized at first sight that Liu Yan was definitely not an ordinary mediocre person. He was not from a prominent family, nor was he recommended by the powerful, so after he was admitted to my Yu King Temple, he was wronged to be an outer disciple for a period of time, and almost lost in the crowd. But every time he took my instrument-making class, he always had smart words, and I immediately looked at him with new eyes. After all, I also often try to discover potential talents among the outer disciples. Liu Yan almost vomited blood when he heard it from behind. Damn, Elder Shidin, you still have the nerve to say that? When did you not come to teach in a hurry and leave after the lecture? When did you allow outer disciples to ask questions? If I hadn't successfully hooked up with your daughter, would you have looked at me even once? This is nonsense. As a person who understands everything he hears and has a photographic memory, Liu Yan is definitely very vindictive in a sense. As for the Penglai elders who were listening to their cheap masters bragging, it was not known whether they were truly ignorant or pretending to be stupid, but they all agreed with him and laughed. As expected of Shidin, you have the ability to judge people. With Liu Yan, this kid can be regarded as a good story of master and apprentice. There were even elders who were not convinced and argued with him. Liu Yan also took my class, and I also saw that he was very smart. I was just planning to poach him, but I didn't expect you to get there first. Bullshit. Elder Shiding immediately spat, I got there first, doesn't it just show that my vision is better than yours? That's just because you are lucky. The elders laughed and scolded. Chapter 452. Ignorance of time. As time went by, everyone left one after another. Shili was very satisfied with the meal, so she came to Liu Yan and pulled his sleeve. Junior brother, when will the rewards be distributed? How do you know there are rewards? Liu Yan was surprised. Because of Ling Yunpo's experience, he guessed that after the list of the top 12 in Baiyusheng was released, each sect would secretly give their own contestants the secret medicine of Zaifi to strengthen. How did Miss Shi know about it? Ah? Shili was stunned for a long time before answering, I heard about it when I overheard my father and the headmaster chatting. It seems that they will send the old man to give us rewards this time. Old man who guards the gate? Liu Yan asked suspiciously. As everyone knows, the gatekeeper of Yu King Temple is a special white jade puppet called Nianu, which is specially used to handle some mundane things that no one wants to deal with, such as receiving foreign guests, helping the elders to get things, and issuing tasks and rewards to outer disciples, etc. And it is often broken by Shilili who escapes, because Elder Shiding often asks Nianu to stop her from going out. In addition to Nianu, is there anyone else guarding the door? Liu Yan thought carefully for a long time, and suddenly remembered a person. Although this person does not guard a door, he lives near the gatehouse every day. He also looks like an old man. Every time Nian was broken by a Shilili, he would come to repair it. That old man who guards the door? Liu Yan asked in surprise. If it is the old man who comes to give out rewards, then his identity is definitely not ordinary. Yes, it is this old man. An old voice came from behind that too. Liu Yan and Shilili turned around and saw a short old man standing behind them with a smiling expression. You guys fought very well this time. The old man raised his eyebrows at him and took out a pill bottle from his sleeve. Here, take it. Thank you, senior. What is this? Liu Yan took the pill bottle, but did not open it rashly, just asked respectfully. Have you heard of Zhu Suidan? Asked the old man. Zhu Suidan? Liu Yan weighed it in his mind for a moment, then nodded slowly. Yeah. I heard that Shushan Chanmei is bleeding a lot this time. The old man laughed proudly. Our Penglai is different. Even in previous competitions, few people can make it to the finals, so we are not short of these Zhu Suidan. When you get a place in the top 12, there will be better rewards for you. Luo Yan was silent for a moment, and immediately understood what the old man meant. The key raw material of Zhu Suidan is the blood of immortals. This thing will damage the essence of immortals, so even the immortals of the three pure ones of the orthodox sect cannot provide it unscrupulously. However, similar to the golden mercury dam, this Zhu Suidan is also one of the few purple mansion secret medicines that can be produced stably. Considering that Zhu Suidan can be used repeatedly to improve cultivation, its value is still higher than the golden mercury dam. Of course, the premise is that you have the ability to obtain it repeatedly. As for other purple mansion secret medicines in the world, although many of them have a much higher increase in cultivation than Zhu Suidan, the key is that they are extremely difficult to find and hard to find. Moreover, even if someone finds it, it will often be consumed immediately, so there is little storage within the sect, and it is impossible to ask for more. Thinking of this, Luo Yan sincerely bowed and said, "Thank you, senior. May I know your Taoist name?" "Wang Xiang." The old man said casually, "You can just call me old man from now on." He waved his hand kindly, then turned around and left leisurely. "What is the Zhu Suidan that the old man gave you?" After the Wang Xiang immortal left, Shili immediately came over and asked. "Some kind of Zaifu secret medicine." Luo Yan almost sweated violently when he heard this. "You really call him old man? It is said that taking it can increase your cultivation by 30 years. Only 30 years of cultivation?" Shili was a little disappointed. "The sect directly rewards you, and you don't need to risk exploring the ruins and risk your life. What else can you complain about?" Luo Yan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and the Zhu Suidan can be taken repeatedly, and every pill you get is a profit. He unscrewed the pill bottle, quickly poured a pill for Shili, and quickly took another pill himself. It is reasonable to take the Purple Mansion secret medicine immediately after getting it. After all, this matter cannot be kept secret. If you don't take it, elders from various families will come to you soon for their children and bring all kinds of precious treasures to exchange for these Purple Mansion secret medicines. In terms of value alone, those treasures are definitely higher than the Purple Mansion secret medicine. The problem is that the Purple Mansion secret medicine can directly affect the grade of the dam formation, which is related to whether the foundation of cultivation is stable. In short, it feels like a big loss if you don't exchange it, and it feels like a big loss if you exchange it. Anyway, it's a loss, so it's better to take it directly after getting it, so as not to be upset. Luo Yan took the Zhu Suidan, and Shili was stunned for a moment, but she followed suit and stuffed the Zhu Suidan into her mouth and chewed it like a candy bean. "It doesn't taste good." She frowned and said, "It tastes a bit bitter." Luo Yan pretended not to hear it. When the two left the banquet hall, they saw Elder Shiding coming up and asked, "Have you taken it all?" Luo Yan nodded. So Elder Shiding winked at Lin Bushu. Luo Yan understood that soon, the news that both of them had taken Zhu Suidan would spread like wildfire, which would put off the thoughts of the elders who wanted to come and ask, saving each other's time and face. With the third Zhu Suidan, Luo Yan calculated a little and found that his Wafu cultivation had been 745 years, and there were only 55 years left to reach the first grade Jindan. If other cultivators knew this, they would definitely be dumbfounded. How many Purple Mansion secret medicines would be needed to produce more than 700 years of cultivation? However, for Luo Yan, it was not impossible. Because he hit many personas, each of them was a very outstanding elite child in their own sect. Through the sect's resource reserves and information channels, they could at least get 200 years of Wafu cultivation. Just imagine, Qiu Cheng Tian for 200 years, Ling Yunbo for 200 years, Luo Yan for 200 years, Wei Dongliu for 200 years, wouldn't they just reach the threshold of the first grade Jindan? Although in reality, we have to consider the problem of repeated crossover. Most of the Purple Palace secret medicines can only be taken once. It is actually very, very difficult to get this 700-year-old Wafu cultivation. We have to give a reason, that is, great wisdom, great perseverance, and great fortune are all indispensable, which has been said many times. Next, it is estimated that Kunlun will also give Qiu Cheng Tian a Fuxiu pill, so it will be 775 years. There are still 25 years to go. As for the remaining lifespan, Luo Yan carefully calculated for a moment and realized that it has been almost 20 years since he became a disciple of Kunlun, Shushan, and Penglai. There is a saying that cultivating in the mountains, the years do not know the cold and heat. Since immortals generally do not celebrate the New Year festival, they are not sensitive to the alternation of cold and heat in spring, summer, autumn and winter. In addition, most of the time is daily practice, breathing and refining ki. There is nothing worth describing, so there will not be a deep enough impression. Thinking carefully, Qiu Changtai has now become the senior brother of the foundation building realm, Ling Yunpo has become one of the 4 strongest men in Shushan, and Luo Yan has become the heir of Tiangong Fang. It can be seen that it has been a long time since I just started, and I have experienced a lot of things unknowingly. Unfortunately, due to the parallel development of 5 characters, the passage of time also needs to be multiplied by 5. Others have aged for 20 years, but his body has actually aged for more than 100 years, plus the cloud sea and empty cocoon, and now he only has about 70 years of life left. It doesn't matter. When I have accumulated 800 years of practice, I can find a safe and remote place to survive the first grade golden elixir heavenly tribulation. Chapter 453. Sister Am's eyes suddenly became sharp. Back in the room, Luo Yan took out the jade slip that Elder Shiding had given him. Sure enough, the jade slip contained the intelligence information of the people from Kunlun and Shushan in the list of the top 12 in Beijing. In the information of Qiu Changtai and Zesu, it was marked if defeated, it is not the fault of war. It seems that Penglai also thinks that the strength of these 2 people is far beyond their peers and there is no possibility of being defeated. As for the remaining people, Luo Yan focused on Gyunzen's information. First, because junior brother Gyun joined the frontline team at Kunlun, Qiu Changtai has not seen him for a long time, and I don't know what new tricks he has learned. Secondly, it is naturally because the first battle will be against junior brother Gyun, and he must win in order to close the historical loop. Thinking about it carefully, it seems that even if I don't look at the information, in order to close the world line perfectly, I will find a way to make junior brother Gyun lose to me. Forget it, leave the strong luck to Miss Shi. My character setting is hypocritical, and I can't overlap with her characteristics. Luo Yan thought for a while and asked Kunlun Mirror. Mirror, have you scanned it just now? Yes. Kunlun Mirror replied, it's on the old man. But I don't know where it is exactly, it should be in some space-type magic weapon. Storage bag? Luo Yan thought about it. It's possible. Kunlun Mirror nodded and said, but I don't think immortals will use storage bags. It may also be a more ancient storage method, such as the world in the sleeve. Luo Yan thought carefully for a moment and had to admit that it was true. The world in the sleeve is a very ancient Taoist method that can be used to store supplies and to absorb the enemy's flying sword magic weapon. The only disadvantage is that, like other Taoist methods, it takes a lot of time to comprehend and learn. If I have that time, wouldn't it be better for me to breathe and refine ki? It's better to buy a storage bag. It's understandable that the younger generation of cultivators would think so, but for immortals with a lifespan of nearly eternal, time-consuming is the least important condition. What they want is the style of swallowing clouds and spitting rain with a flick of their hands. In any case, with Luo Yan's current strength and rank, he naturally couldn't lot against the fragments of the heaven-repairing stone hidden in the Wangxiang Immortal's place. But being able to determine the location is good after all. After refining the power of the Zhu Yidan, Luo Yan and Shilili went to draw lots the next day. As happened in history, Luo Yan drew Gyunzen, and Ling Yunpo drew Shilili. It's that guy. Shilili's eyes flashed with a complex look, and Luo Yan could see clearly beside him, clearly fearing more than disgusting. But Luo Yan couldn't comfort Miss Shi. After all, she was about to be courteously beaten by Ling Yunpo, and her mood exploded directly, so anything he said at this time would be a preemptive mine. It would be better to quickly defeat Gyunzen and run away. Arriving at Baiyujing Square on time, Luo Yan just saw Gyunzen leaving the field, with 2 swords crossed on his back, as if he was going to use the two-handed sword controlling technique later. The two-handed sword controlling technique is the signature skill of Shushan, but it is not a patented skill of Shushan. In fact, many old sword immortal families also mastered their own two-handed sword control techniques. For example, the two-handed sword control technique of the Longsiguan family is famous for left and right combined attack, and the 2 swords are extremely sharp in coordinated attack. In addition, according to the information from Penglai, Gyunzen also learned the Gyun family's unique sword energy transformation technique, which can shoot sword energy with bare hands, and realize a series of fancy operations such as sword energy differentiation, sword energy turning, and sword energy explosion. However, Luo Yan was not afraid. With the Tiangong Bai Bahu bag, your sword energy is even more gorgeous than mine. Penglai, Luo Yan. Luo Yan clasped his fists and saluted. He did all the etiquette before the competition, but Yuanzhen was very cold, just clasped his fists and did not answer. Such an unruly attitude naturally aroused the dissatisfaction of the Penglai disciples watching the battle around, and booed from all directions for a while. The reason is also very obvious. Penglai only has 2 people this time. You look down on the Luoyan, do you look down on us Penglai? The attitudes of the Kunlun disciples were also complicated. First, it was indeed Yuanzhen who was rude first. Second, the style of the Kunlun sect was quite reserved, and it was difficult for them to boo in public. As a result, the voices booing Penglai could not be heard at all. For a moment, it seemed that the whole audience despised Yuanzhen. After years of training outside, junior brother Yuan seemed to have matured a lot. He turned a deaf ear to the slander around him and just silently untied the belt carrying the sword, making the 2 immortal swords float. The 2 immortal swords, one of which was deep purple and condensed, and the other was clear and dark green, looked quite beautiful. As for the grade, it should be over 10th grade, but definitely not 11th grade. No matter how powerful it is, can it be more powerful than the Wang Chime Kun sword? Luoyan pinched the sword formula, and the Wang Chime Kun sword also flew up quickly. Although his sword control skills were very stable, Yuanzhen was not a novice in swordsmanship. He immediately saw that there were some subtle flaws in the aura sensing between Luoyan and the Wang Chime Kun sword. This sword refused to obey him. Yuanzhen felt more relaxed. It seemed that the opponent had nothing else to show except the Tiangong 100 treasure bag. That's right. With the combat experience of the Penglai monks, it was already the limit to use so many magic weapons well. How could they have time to hone their sword skills and tame the flying swords? Thinking of this, he immediately made a decision. I must win this battle quickly and neatly to make a name for myself. As soon as the game started, Yuanzhen pinched the sword formula, and the purple and green swords shot out at the same time. Several other sword ki surged out from his fingertips and flew forward like a slanting wind and drizzle. This is the beginning of a 3-way attack. 3 uses with 1 mind? Ling Yushu asked in surprise on the observation deck in the distance. No. Elder Shiding stroked his beard and said calmly, the sword energy of the Yuan family has taken shape. With just 1 command, it can move around the field autonomously. In fact, it does not need to be distracted to control it. But this is still a 3-sided attack. The defensive pressure is so huge, and the requirements for swordsmanship are too high. Can the little junior brother withstand it? Ling Yushu said worriedly, and suddenly heard another exclamation from the front. Luoyan was not in a hurry in the face of 3-line attacks. He just controlled the Wang Chime Kun sword to defend himself closely. With a round of rotation, he blocked all the 3-sided attacks. Wonderful. Elder Shiding praised immediately, using a single sword against 3 swords, and compressing the defense range to reduce the pressure of support. Luoyan's tactical thinking has deeply grasped the essence of Shushan's opportunity. Not only Elder Shiding, but also the Shushan disciples on the sidelines, all stared with wide eyes and looked carefully. When the swordsmanship is suppressed by the opponent, it is not difficult for the Shushan disciples present to think of reducing the pressure of support by reducing the defense range. But the real amazing thing is that he was able to quickly judge that the situation was unfavorable after the opening attack, and then adopted this tactic without hesitation. You have to know that the area of Baiyuzheng Square is not large, and Luoyan didn't even have more than a breath of time. If he didn't have thousands or tens of thousands of sword competitions to lay that foundation, how could he have such a powerful vision and reaction speed? Not far away from the periphery of the venue, Zisu stared at Luoyan silently, and his eyes suddenly became sharp. Luoyan's flying sword circled close to her body, blocking the 3-line attack with ease. There seemed to be a bit of the shadow of her own swordsmanship in the sword path. However, the so-called shadow of her swordsmanship is not the sword move of the 7 killing swordsmanship, but her own fighting skills formed through countless battles and tempering. It can be said that it is closer to a certain form of personal combat habits. Is it a coincidence? Oh, Chapter 454 Your senior brother is still your senior brother. Yuanzhen was surprised that his attack missed. How could Luoyan miss this opportunity? He immediately raised the Wang Chime Kun sword and shook off the purple and green swords at the same time. His right hand quickly reached into the Tiangong Baibaho bag. Let's have something to deal with flying swords and sword energy, he said with his spiritual sense. The Tiangong Baibaho bag immediately spit out 2 objects. Luoyan quickly moved his hands to catch the 2 objects. He glanced at them and threw away the golden wound medicine bottle in his left hand. He threw up the Jingdong Yanluo with his right hand and quickly protected the area around him. Even though he was unknown before, he has now entered the top 12 of Baiyuzheng. Naturally, someone on Kunlun's side has collected paper intelligence about Luo Yan based on the previous battle. Jinggong Yanluo is a smoke-like defensive magic weapon, which is 3 or 4 feet wide when extended. It seems invisible and intangible, but it actually has a strong defensive effect against physical attacks. When an ordinary flying sword shoots into the mist of the Crimson Palace, the resistance it encounters doubles every few inches, just like a tiger falling into a quagmire, or an insect or bird falling into a spider web, and soon it will be unable to move. Since Gyunzhen has learned the information, of course he will not continue to attack rashly, but quickly pinches the Taoist formula and activates the sword method of the green sword. Suddenly, a green streak rises like lightning and rolls towards Luo Yan in the mist. Be careful. Kunlun Mirror can't help but warn. Luo Yan can see clearly that the green streak is neither sword light nor sword energy, but seems to be a form of some kind of Taoist method. He dared not stay where he was and quickly retreated on his sword. However, the speed of the green streak was even faster than that of the Wang Changkun sword, or because the Wang Changkun sword refused to completely recognize its master and could not exert its full speed, and it rushed into the Crimson Palace mist in an instant, and its speed only stagnated slightly, but did not decrease rapidly. Half real and half virtual. Luo Yan immediately understood. The Crimson Palace smoke net has the strongest ability to slow down entities, almost inch by inch. It has no deceleration effect on invisible things such as flames and lightning, but can only weaken their power. This blue streak of light slightly stopped, but did not slow down layer by layer, indicating that it was in a state between half real and half virtual. Thinking of this, he reached into the Heavenly Craft treasure bag again and quickly issued an order. Give me something to restrain half real and half virtual things, no elixirs. The Heavenly Craft treasure bag quickly spit out an object, which was a palm-sized small mirror. Kunlun Mirror? Luo Yan was shocked. How could it be me? Kunlun Mirror immediately cursed, that's the heaven monitoring mirror. How do I use it? Luo Yan asked hurriedly. Shine. Luo Yan immediately felt that he was really an idiot, and hurriedly used his true essence and magic power to drive the heaven monitoring mirror to shine on the blue streak of light that was chasing him relentlessly. With just this one shot, the streak of light immediately turned into a solid and was fixed in place. Luo Yan looked again and found that it was a small snake transformed from wood essence, with a triangular head and sharp teeth like knives, which was extremely fierce. Gyunzhen was also caught off guard, and hurriedly urged the Taoist method on the sword again, and then another 7 or 8 green snakes were transformed, whistling towards Luo Yan. Luo Yan was not in a hurry, but just continued to operate the Jiantin mirror to shine, and all the small snakes were fixed by him, and then he easily killed them with the Wang Changkun sword. Just after splitting the last small snake, he saw a sudden light in front of him. Gyunzhen actually directly launched the big move of man and sword integration, trying to kill him directly on the spot. The speed of man and sword integration was extremely fast, and it was too late to get the magic weapon from the Tiangong by Bahu bag. Luo Yan could only shine the Jiantin mirror forward. Gyunzhen's reaction was also very fast. He pulled the sword light to the side to avoid the mirror light, and the speed did not slow down, and he immediately approached within a few feet. Junior brother! Shili outside the field exclaimed. The Shushan disciples had complicated expressions, because Gyunzhen's sword and man were one, and the power of his sword was even better than many of them. If this person was in Shushan, he would definitely be in the top 10 of the immortal sword ranking, but why did he go to Kunlun? In the distance, Lin Yuanzhen was slightly surprised, Juanfenhai was amazed, and only Yuan Zhenu frowned slightly. Further away, Ling Yushu looked anxious, but Elder Shiding was not in a hurry, as if he was sure that Luo Yan could not lose. Luo Yan was flying his sword and retreating at full speed, but how could his speed be faster than the ultimate move of the sword and man? The distance between the two sides was being rapidly shortened, but fortunately, the opponent dodged the mirror light before, and finally won Luo Yan a moment of respite. He stretched out his right hand again like lightning, reaching into the Tiangong treasure bag to take the magic weapon, but he didn't know that Yuanzhen was waiting for this opportunity, and the speed of the sword light instantly increased by another 3 points. It turned out that Yuanzhen had been deliberately suppressing his speed since he started the sword and man combination, just to mislead Luo Yan's judgment and make him think that he had a chance to take the magic weapon. Even if he had avoided the glare of the heaven monitoring mirror before, it was also within Yuanzhen's calculations. The sword light suddenly approached Luo Yan's chest, and Yuanzhen could already see the blank, shocked, fearful, and unwilling expressions on Luo Yan's face. At that moment, thousands of thoughts flashed through Yuanzhen's mind. Countless days and nights of hard swordsmanship training, and countless desperate counterattacks, have allowed him to have his current strength. Defeating Luo Yan is only his first step. He will then have to defeat senior sisters Yu, his cousin, and senior brother Qiu, and finally take the top spot in the Baiyuzheng competition and the position of the chief of the Foundation establishment realm. For revenge, he needs to seize more power. Thousands of thoughts converged into pure murderous intent. Yuanzhen has already stimulated all his true energy, and the sword light is as dazzling as the blazing sun, piercing Luo Yan's chest. Win. Shield outside the field has been so scared that he closed his eyes and dared not look anymore. Elder Shiding still looked calm, but the sleeves holding his hands were also slightly wrinkled, and the fingers inside were involuntarily clenched. The next second, the sword light that passed through Luo Yan's body suddenly exploded into colorful five-color light of red, green, yellow, white and black. To be precise, Luo Yan used some kind of Taoist magic to release the gorgeous and dazzling five-color light, which extinguished Yuanzhen's sword light in just one shot. Suddenly, Yuanzhen was reborn in the original place, with a dazed look on his face. Penglai, Luo Yan, wins. Hearing the mechanical voice, Luo Yan breathed a sigh of relief and smiled secretly. Sorry, junior brother Guan, your senior brother is still your senior brother after all. Yuanzhen suddenly came back to his senses, pointed at him and screamed. You are, the acquired 5 elements extinction divine light. The whole audience was silent for a moment, and then suddenly erupted with a sound like a storm. The acquired 5 elements extinction divine light. Yuan Zhenyu said in shock outside the field. She had guessed that Luo Yan had a trump card, but she didn't know it was such a big one that Yuanzhen had no chance to fight back. Hasn't the 5 elements divine light been lost long ago because it was difficult to refine? I was also surprised. Where did Luo Yan get the acquired 5 elements true pulse? If it is really the 5 elements divine light, this Penglai King Temple, Lin Yulanzhen said slowly. Although he didn't finish, everyone in Shushan knew what he meant. In time, Luo Yan might become another super strong man like Qiu Changtai or Zisu. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 455 Mishi's Test. A stone stirs up 1,000 waves. Ordinary disciples may not understand the meaning of acquired 5 elements great extinction divine light, but how can those elite disciples from Immortal Cultivation families not know the great reputation of the 5 elements divine light in ancient times? In the ancient war between humans and monsters, the Peacock clan used the innate 5 elements great chaos divine light to kill countless human cultivators. Later, the human race worked hard and created the acquired 5 elements great extinction divine light to compete with it based on the research on the corpse of the Peacock Monster King. As for the fame of this acquired divine light, it had to wait until the monsters fled to the Eastern Empire realm. In the human civil war, it was simply killing people everywhere and became notorious. Later, the 5 elements divine light was lost. The specific reason why it was lost is no longer known. Anyway, the last time the 5 elements divine light appeared was in the lineage of the Weir Island cultivators in the East China Sea. Now, Weir Island has been wiped out by Penglai King Temple because of its collusion with the demon sect. Luo Yan happened to use the acquired 5 elements extinction divine light at this time, which made people associate the two. In short, although everyone does not know the ins and outs of it, it is expected that many people will visit Penglai tonight, and more people will remember the name Luo Yan. After all, the acquired 5 elements extinction divine light is a fairy method. It is the same fairy method as the 9 Heavens King Wei realm mantra. In the Penglai residence, Luo Yan had not rested for long before he was called by Elder Shiding again. In the main hall, in addition to Elder Shiding, there are also Kushanda Sect Master, Yuzheng Sect Master and Ziwili Sect Master. The 3 pure Sect Masters came out together. If it were an ordinary cultivator here, he would definitely be at a loss. However, Luo Yan knew all 3 people, so he respectfully stood by and said nothing. It is a blessing that the acquired 5 elements extinction divine light can reappear in our orthodox sect. The Ziwili Sect Master spoke first, and he defined the matter as soon as he spoke. He was indeed the Kunlun Sect Master who claimed to be the leader of the Orthodox sect, and he was domineering. But this method should consume a lot of true essence. The Yuzheng Sect Master was concerned about the endurance. It's okay. The Kushanda Sect Master said calmly, after all, he hasn't formed a pill yet. What about the Foundation Establishment Realm Cultivator? What are you thinking? Do you still expect him to be able to exert the full power of the 5 elements divine light and hang us, the Unning Elders, up and beat us? From now on, you must be careful to beware of the demon sect. The Ziwili sect master reminded. Isn't it? Our Kunlun has been wanted by the demon sect for many years because of Kyo Chang Tian, who has a clear mind of Taoism. If the people in the demon sect knew that Luoyan had the acquired 5 elements extinction divine light, they would definitely take the opportunity to attack. Of course. Chandu sect leader said calmly, Luoyan is the son of my Penglai, and my Penglai will naturally protect him and ensure that the Taoist tradition is not lost. Ahem. Elder Shiding coughed and said, everyone, Luoyan is the next successor of my Tiangong Fang, so this acquired 5 elements divine light will definitely be passed down and will not be lost. The 3 sect leaders heard this and their expressions suddenly became strange. Isn't the Taoist tradition of Tiangong Fang the Taoist tradition of my Penglai? Chandu sect leader asked in surprise, or do you think, Shiding, that I will forcibly deprive this technique from your Tiangong Fang Taoist tradition under the banner of Yu King Temple? That's not what I meant. Elder Shiding was speechless and could only say embarrassedly. Shiding probably didn't mean that. The head of Ziwili sect had a very good relationship with the elder Shiding, so he came out to smooth things over, saying, Chandu, don't be too harsh. After all, this technique is of great importance, so it's better to confirm it clearly. Here. The head of Chandu sect shook his head and stopped pestering her. Instead, he turned to Luoyan and asked, have you drawn the lot for tomorrow? I have drawn it. Luoyan smiled bitterly and took out the sword. On it were the 3 words Mzisu. Mzisu, the head of Yuzheng sect sneered, that's good. If it's her, she can measure the full strength of your acquired 5 elements divine light. Tomorrow's battle, there's no need to worry about winning or losing, just let it go. The head of Chandu sect ordered. Junior knows. Luoyan saluted again respectfully. The meaning is actually very clear, that is, Mzisu, you probably won't be able to beat him tomorrow, just go all out, and let's see to what extent this acquired 5 elements great extinction divine light can improve your combat effectiveness. To what extent? Do you believe that senior sister can be hung up and beaten directly? What a pity, according to Luoyan's level of cultivation, he probably can't hold on for a few breaths. Luoyan said goodbye to the elders and then returned to his room. Sure enough, not long after, Miss Shi, who lost to Ling Yunpo today, came over unhappily. It's so annoying. She didn't treat herself as an outsider, just sat down on Luoyan's bed and said in a muffled voice, why am I so weak? Luoyan was silent for a moment, and quickly calculated in his mind. Is she really asking why am I so weak? Anyone who would understand it this way would probably be single in this life. So Luoyan sat down next to her and said gently, Senior sister, it's okay. Our Penglai's expertise lies in the various schools of thought. It is normal that we are weaker than Shushan in fighting. This is not your responsibility alone. Keyword 1. This is not your responsibility. But, Shilui said aggrievedly, I don't know any of the various schools of thought. You know formations, my eldest brother knows how to forge swords, and my 3rd sister knows how to make seals, but I don't know anything. Oh, it's really okay. Luoyan continued to say gently, senior sister is still very young. It's not too late to learn after you form a pill. Anyway, with your intelligence, you'll definitely be able to learn all of master's skills. Keyword 2. It will be better in the future. Really? Shilui thought for a moment, and said in a crying voice, but everyone only pays attention to your 5 elements divine light. Even when I lost to Ling Yunpo, my father didn't comfort me much, senior sister. Luoyan hugged her gently and comforted her, senior sister is also one of the top 12 in Beijing. Besides us, who else in Penglai King Temple can do it? Senior sister is already better than many people. Keyword 3, you are the best. You're right, you're the best, it'll be fine in the future. After these 3 tricks, Shilui really turned from sadness to joy, and said angrily, Junior brother, you were good at coaxing people with your mouth. I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. Luoyan said righteously. The synchronization value really rose again. Alas, this template of hypocritical personality, people like me with high emotional intelligence and IQ, it's really effortless to play. Shilui was a little shy, but after all, she had been hugged by Luoyan many times for various reasons, and the psychological distance had been shortened, so she stayed in his arms for a while, and then left reluctantly. In fact, whether it was the teasing of the brothers and sisters or the vague hints of her father, she was not unaware. The reason why she came to Luo Yan was, on the one hand, she really wanted to be coaxed, and on the other hand, it was to test whether he understood her. This time he passed the test. Chapter 456. Born with a sword heart, capture the sword heart the next day, Baiyuzhing's secret realm. This time, the top 12 of Baiyuzhing will be divided into 4 categories: super quality, upper quality, middle quality and lower quality. The top 3 places will eventually fall to Qiu Cheng Tian, Zisu and Ling Yunpo. Then, because Ling Yunpo admitted defeat and automatically ranked in the top 3, Qiu Cheng Tian and Zisu will decide the first place. And this time, he will defeat Zisu according to the historical trajectory. To be honest, Luo Yan thought about it and knew that he must have let her go. If he didn't let her go, he would have used the 5 elements divine light to kill Zisu, okay? My Jade Mansion, which has been built with more than 700 years of cultivation, is not made of dough. Not to mention Luo Yan's side, she only drew Juan Fan Hefei. Luo Yan carefully weighed and analyzed and found that she couldn't beat the other 5 people in the loser group, even Yan Zichu. After all, she advanced by relying on 2 buys, so it didn't matter who she drew. Well, senior brother Juan is always unwilling to give a cold shoulder to the weak. I guess Mishi's fragile heart will be hurt again. Regardless of Mishi, after Qiu Cheng Tian's competition is over, Zisu and Luo Yan will leave the field. To this day, even the orthodox disciples who were not well informed like Nobita have already known the 2 favorites to win this competition: Cunning Qiu Cheng Tian and Shushan and Zisu. As for Luo Yan, although he has the acquired 5 elements extinction divine light, he is still slightly inferior to these 2 in fame. The main reason is that everyone only saw him blow up the pass, but didn't see clearly how it was blown up. What if Qiu Cheng Tian and Zisu can also blow up the pass? In this case, who is stronger and who is weaker? In short, everyone is looking forward to this competition, so as the 2 leave the field, everyone from Shushan and Penglai will press down the sword light and approach the Baiyuzhing square. Well, at this point in time, Ling Yunpo and Zhu Yingyan hadn't faced off yet, so everyone didn't know that being a spectator on the sidelines was also a very dangerous thing. Zisu stood across the field, her hair tied into a simple bun at the back of her head, looking heroic and beautiful, and bowed to Luo Yan. Luo Yan. Wait, Sister Anne, aren't you always mad at everyone except your own junior brothers and masters? Why are you so polite to me all of a sudden? But Luo Yan was wrong here. Although Zisu was straightforward and said what she wanted to say, she was not the kind of person who enjoyed mad at others. Every time she mad at someone, it was because someone said something that hurt Ling Yunpo. All because of protecting one's shortcomings. Anyway, since senior sister Anne gave him such face, Luo Yan didn't have to offend her. He just clasped his fists and saluted. Penglai Luo Yan, I'm honored to learn swordsmanship from fellow Daoistan. This fellow Daoistan was really awkward, far less smooth than senior sister Anne. Zisu responded expressionlessly. Zisu from Shushan, I would like to learn from fellow Daoist Luo's high skills. Her expression, polite but distant, made Luo Yan feel a little sad. Zisu, I hate you for being like a piece of wood. You are so cold and ruthless, what can you do to pay me back for what I owe you here? After acting in his mind, Luo Yan felt much more relaxed in his chest, raised the Wang Time Kun sword, put his left hand in the Tiangong Bai Baho bag, and pinched the sword formula with his right hand, and was ready to release the acquired 5 elements extinction divine light at any time. Anyway, the head of Krishnanda said that he didn't seek victory, but just tried his best. Zisu also silently summoned Feian and Hanlian swords, but was not in a hurry to attack with all her strength like Yuanzhen, but tentatively let Hanlian's sword rush forward. She suddenly wanted to test Luo Yan's swordsmanship and see where the inexplicable familiarity came from. Luo Yan was also very familiar with Zisu's fighting style, so he immediately manipulated Wang Time Kun's sword to meet her, and took out a magic weapon from the Tiangong 100 treasure bag with his left hand. Oh, King and Divine Sword. This knife is also a powerful offensive magic weapon. It can rotate with the owner's thoughts and attack the enemy. It can also spontaneously fight with the flying sword and concentrate on protecting the master. It is perfect for resisting Zisu's two-handed sword controlling technique. In fact, except for liking to joke, the Tiangong 100 treasure bag is still very reliable most of the time. For example, Yuanzhen was impatient, so the treasure bag gave him the defensive Crimson Palace Smoke Luo to wear down his spirit. Zisu was brave and good at attacking, so using Crimson Palace Smoke Luo would only led to passive defense and getting beaten, so the treasure bag gave him the Green Gan Divine Sword to let him attack against attack and compete with Zisu for the rhythm of the battlefield. Wang Time Kun's sword resisted the attack of the Cold Sword. Although the cold sword was light and agile, it was completely unable to shake its defense against the extremely heavy sword like Wang sword. The green spirit divine sword quickly met the Feian sword that followed, and slashed with it several times in the air, with green light flying and sparks flying. Luo Yan suddenly found something wrong, because at this time, senior sister An's swordsmanship was too gentle. It was so gentle that it was like feeding Ling Yunpo. Recalling senior sister An's swift and violent swordsmanship when she fought Kunlun Fei Wanzi in the first round, Luo Yan became more and more uneasy. Could it be that she noticed some inadvertent clues? Luo Yan thought to himself. After all, he couldn't ask senior sister An directly, so he just launched the attack cautiously. Zisu manipulated the two swords and entangled with him calmly for a moment. She thought that such a pure Donghaiyu swordsmanship could not tell any style. Was it an illusion before? She turned her mind slightly, and pinched the sword formula, and the speed of Hanlin Feiyan was raised to a higher level. Facing the sudden increase in the attack rhythm of senior sister An, Luo Yan also hurriedly increased the speed, and the attacks of Wang Kun sword and Kingan divine sword also became swift. Zisu noticed something wrong again. If you say it's wrong, it's actually hard to say what's wrong. After all, she didn't deal with Luo Yan much before, and she didn't know what his swordsmanship style was. However, Zisu always felt that Luo Yan's fighting style revealed a sense of familiarity from the inside out. But after careful analysis, I don't know where they are familiar. This East Sea Jade Coral sword is famous for its flexibility, which is very different from the seven-killing swordsmanship that emphasizes attacking. And the East Sea Jade Coral sword used by Luo Yan is also very standard in every move, and there is really no doubt about it. So where did that inexplicable sense of familiarity come from? Zisu had the urge to go crazy. She continued to speed up the pace expressionlessly, trying to force Luo Yan to reveal his flaws. But how familiar is Luo Yan with her? As soon as I saw her expressionless face, I immediately guessed that senior sister An must have noticed something. Seeing that she continued to increase the frequency of attacks, but the murderous intent between the moves did not increase, how could I dare to entangle with her like this? My right hand quickly changed the sword tactics into the magic tactics, and quickly stimulated the true essence of Danton. The acquired 5 elements of the great extinction of the divine light. Chapter 457 I, Luo Yan, have no more mana. If the great light fire is like burning mountains and boiling seas, then the 5 elements divine light is as bright as the sun and the moon, penetrating the light. Red, green, yellow, white, and black, the 5-color divine light interweaves like shuttles, rolling and surging towards Zisu, sweeping away like a tide. Even Sister An, who loves to attack, dares not take it head-on, so she has to use the dividing cloud 8 diagram step and change direction urgently to dodge the divine light. Luo Yan sighed in his heart, you don't know until you use it, you will experience it, this footwork is really helpful to the sword fairy. Apart from anything else, if there is no footwork, then you can only dodge by flying the sword. Flying the sword requires the consumption of mind and takes up a flying sword, and the short distance burst sprint speed is far less than the footwork, especially in this limited environment, which shows the flexibility of the footwork. Luo Yan pinched the Do formula, and the acquired 5 elements divine light surged again, chasing and slapping Zisu in the distance. Zisu's body swayed continuously, her footwork never stopped, and she dodged like a ghost. She was always about to be hit by the 5 elements divine light, but she narrowly missed it. Luo Yan was a little upset to find that this senior sister An's footwork seemed to have surpassed his own. She could improve so quickly, which should be the effect of the talent of natural sword heart. If we use the terminology of the game, the natural sword heart adds comprehension, agility and perception, while the natural sword bone adds root bone, strength and will. It sounds like the upper limit of the natural sword bone is higher, but Luo Yan fought smoothly most of the time from beginning to end, and he didn't encounter a crisis that required a competition of root bone, strength and will. It's not as good as the natural sword heart. It would be great if he could switch with senior sister. Luo Yan was thinking about it, but suddenly found another problem. The 5 elements divine light took too long. He quickly stopped the Do formula and pretended that his true energy was a little exhausted. Zisu frowned slightly. Her intuition told her that Luo Yan had not exhausted his true energy, but why did he look so exhausted? Oh, tactical deception, right. Feeling a little annoyed, Zisu suddenly pulled away and quickly scanned the outside of the field. No junior brother, where did the junior brother go? Why didn't he come to watch my fight? Thinking of this, Zisu lost interest. Forget it, no matter why Luo Yan's swordsmanship gave her a familiar feeling, she would find out when she had a chance. This battle has dragged on for long enough. I miss my junior brother a little. It's time to fight quickly." Without saying a word, Zisu suddenly overlapped with Feon's sword and turned into a huge red sword light that surged. Man and sword become one. It's good. Luoyan was also refreshed. If senior sister didn't go all out again, but continued to delay with the dividing cloud back you a step, he would pretend that his true energy was exhausted and then voluntarily admit defeat. Of course, there are great disadvantages to voluntarily admitting defeat. Because in the eyes of the audience, Zisu didn't really concentrate on the fight, and she just circled around and killed Luoyan. This is undoubtedly a great humiliation for Penglai King Temple, and Zisu will be disliked by everyone in Penglai. Sister Am's emotional intelligence is already very pitiful in Shushan, why should Penglai also hate her? I can't bear it. Therefore, seeing that Sister Am finally ran out of patience, Luoyan also breathed a sigh of relief, and immediately activated the forbidden method on the Wang Time Kun sword, chanting the mantra, "The boundless wilderness, the infinite gate." In an instant, even though Luoyan's true essence was vigorous, it was drained away by half. I saw a small mountain descending from the void and smashing on the Baiyusheng square, making a deafening and earth-shaking noise. The monks closer to the square were all dizzy by the shock wave. When I came to my senses, I was horrified. Zisu's red sword light hit the hill directly, but was bounced back. The sword light collapsed, revealing Zisu, who was in a state of embarrassment. She spat out a mouthful of blood, as if she had been injured by the recoil force. What kind of forbidden method is that? Lin Julanzhen shouted outside the field. Julanfen Hegai also looked serious. The people in Shushan were very familiar with the power of Zisu's integration of man and sword. Not to mention the natal sword, even if there were defensive magic weapons, they would not dare to take it head-on. Anyone with insufficient rank and insufficient cultivation would most likely end up being shattered by her sword. However, that mounting, King Qing? Yuan Jinu murmured. Everyone followed her gaze and looked again, and saw that the front of the hill was like a knife and an axe, with two ancient seal characters engraved in a dragon-like and phoenix-like manner. King Qing. Zisu spat out a mouthful of blood, and then, regardless of the serious internal injuries, once again integrated man and sword, and the sword light surged by 3 points, bypassing the hill and continuing to kill. Facing the rapidly approaching sword light, Luoyan simply turned his head to look at Kunlun Xinren, who was maintaining order at the scene, and said calmly, "I admit defeat." The red sword light stopped abruptly, and Zisu fell to the ground, staggering a little. "Admit defeat?" Kunlun Xinren also landed and asked in surprise, "Where is your 5 elements Great Extinction Divine Light?" Another required 5 elements Great Extinction Divine Light. Wouldn't Zisu have lost directly? "Why did you admit defeat?" "I have no true essence." Luoyan sighed and said, "In order to activate the forbidden method on the sword, the last bit of true essence was overdrawn. You can take the elixir." Zisu frowned and said, "Luoyan." "Wait, I'm your opponent, Senior Sister Anne. What are you talking about?" He shook his head again and smiled bigly. "It's too late." Then, Luoyan shook his body and fell backwards. In order to play the whole play, he also ordered Kunlun Mirror to cast an illusion to create the illusion that his true essence was exhausted. Kunlun Xinren immediately took 2 steps at a time and stepped forward, lifted Luoyan's head, and took out another pill for him to swallow. In less than half a breath, Elder Shiding also rushed to Baiyusheng Square from a distance and asked anxiously, "Miaofa, my disciple, the true essence is exhausted." Kunlun's Miaofa Xinren threw the pill bottle in his hand to Shiding, "Give him this temporarily, and he will be fine after a few hours of rest." Elder Shiding caught the pill bottle, opened it and looked at it for a moment, then grabbed Luoyan's wrist and probed it with his spiritual sense, and then slowly breathed a sigh of relief. It was indeed the true essence that was overdrawn. Elder Shiding suddenly felt a little frustrated, because Luoyan could have won this competition. The reason why he was forced to admit defeat was because of insufficient true essence. And the reason for the insufficient true essence was that the key refining technique he practiced was too rubbish. "Luoyan, this kid has tried his best. In the end, it was my Tiangong Fang that's held him back." Thinking of this, Elder Shiding immediately made up his mind to get an excellent key refining technique for Luoyan. Key refining technique, as the key foundation of breathing and refining key, all those with better grades are regarded as the core of inheritance by the sects. How can it be so easy to get it? If you ask others to borrow it, they will fight you to death. However, if Luoyan continues to practice the 3 flowers gathering spirit technique, his true energy capacity will become his biggest restriction. If his true energy is insufficient, he will not be able to use the acquired 5 elements extinction, divine light and the forbidden methods on the Wang Time Kun sword after half of them were used. Isn't it a joke? If it is just a joke, it will be fine, but if he fights against the demon cult and is unwilling to lose because of the lack of true energy, or even perishes, it will really make people speechless. Elder Shiding learned from his mistakes and decided to get him a better key refining technique, even if there is a glimmer of hope, even if Tiangong Fang sells everything he has. Chapter 458. The hardest thing to accept. You're awake. Luo Yan pretended to wake up, only to see Mishi sitting by his bed, saying with regret, "Junior brother, what a pity. You almost won." "Actually, I almost won," Luo Yan said with a weak smile. Of course, this weakness was also pretended. Since being brought back to the Pengliu King Temple residence by Elder Shidin, Luo Yan has remained in a comatose state. Although his eyes were closed, he could also sense that Mishi was feeding him elixirs and had been guarding his bedside. It would be a lie to say that he was not moved. To say that he was moved was a bit strange. This, after all, I was pretending. If I was moved by Shilili's thoughtful care, wouldn't it mean that I was a scumbag who deceived her feelings? Luo Yan suppressed his feeling of being touched, put on a touching expression, and asked, "Sister, did I delay you? How was your competition?" "Oh, it's okay," Shilili said indifferently. "I can't beat her anyway, so I give up." Luo Yan. "Oh, that's strange." Although she was telling the truth, she really couldn't beat her. "Why do I feel so grateful?" "Calm down, it's a good thing that Mishi gives up. After all, Juanfen Hei is really powerful and arrogant. If my Lily goes up and gets beaten up, she will lose both the fight and the battle. How much damage will it do to a girl? As for the fact that she gave up to take care of me, I certainly don't intend to deny it. Anyway, hey, it's the hardest to accept the favor of a beautiful woman." Luo Yan sighed in his heart and wanted to sit up, but was supported by Shilili. "Be careful, junior brother," she said angrily. "Your true essence is all exhausted, how can you not rest well?" "I have already taken the elixir." Luo Yan smiled and pointed to his lower abdomen, where the dantian was located. "Now the Qi is full." "It has nothing to do with the Qi, it's mainly the meridians, Shilili put her hands on her hips and snorted. "The exhaustion of true essence is very harmful to the meridians. You should concentrate on running Qi for a few cycles first, and let the true essence slowly nourish the meridians throughout the body again." Okay. Luo Yan was also helpless. After all, he couldn't say that he didn't have any true essence exhausted at all. He could only follow Shilili's method and pretend to use the 3 flowers gathering spirit technique for a few cycles, producing a tiny amount of true essence. "Father said that he plans to give you a better key refining technique," Shilili suddenly said. Luo Yan. "Wait, I already have the 9 heavens pure and subtle entry true words, what better key refining technique do I need? By the way, is there a better key refining technique than the secret teachings of the Kunlun immortals?" "I'm sorry to bother master." He could only sigh helplessly. After all, Luo Yan was using the 3 flowers gathering spirit technique, which was indeed a little inferior in grade, so there was really no reason to refuse. "Don't say nice things, my father is not here." Shilili rolled her eyes playfully. "I'll go make porridge for you, what do you want to drink?" Today's Lily recommended recipe is shrimp and scallop porridge. "Why porridge?" Luo Yan didn't want to drink porridge at all. "You're already fasting, and you still eat whole grains." "Okay." Shilili stood up from the bed and smiled. "You ordered shrimp and scallop porridge, it will be here soon." Luo Yan. Mishi went out. Less than half a minute later, she came back with another bowl of porridge, which had no heat on it. It was obvious that it had been cooked and left for a while. "Come, I'll feed you." She picked up the spoon, blew away the non-existent heat, and then fed it to Luo Yan's mouth. Luo Yan sighed in his heart again. Since Mishi wants to play that game of taking care of the patient, as a junior brother, I can only accompany her. I will consider it as a way to repay her for giving up that game to protect me. Hey, thinking about it this way, my thoughts are clear again. I'm worthy of being me. This porridge is really delicious. Luo Yan is very dedicated after all. Once he made up his mind to start acting, he began to mobilize his expression spontaneously, and said intoxicatedly, "Senior sister's cooking skills are really superb." Of course. Shilili was proud. Alas, what a pity. Luo Yan suddenly shook his head and sighed. "What a pity." Shilili raised his eyebrows. It's a pity that this King temple has the ways of making tools, drawing talismans, planting herbs, refining elixirs, divination, and all the ways of the various schools of thought, but why is there a lack of cooking? Luoyang said with great sorrow, if there is a way of cooking, my senior sister must be the founder of the sect, and she should have a place in this King temple. Ugh. In his mind, the Kunlun mirror suddenly spoke. What, you broken mirror? Luoyang said immediately in displeasure, just tell me if you're pregnant, I won't fire you for it. If I'm pregnant suddenly and I can't find that father, then it must be your child. Kunlun mirror said numbly. King Ping soared. Outside, Shili was so happy with Luoyang's words that she said embarrassedly, don't be so exaggerated. You are also a cultivator who has practiced fasting, you should know that these grains are useless, just to satisfy your appetite, how can they be called Tao? Luoyang was still bickering with Kunlun mirror, and he couldn't hold it in when he heard her say that. No, it turns out that you know it all. You know that drinking porridge is useless, why do you force me to drink it? Miss Shi. Forget it, just treat it as satisfying your appetite. After patiently drinking the porridge, Shili left with the bowl in her arms with satisfaction, looking as if she had done a good thing by drinking the porridge herself. Not long after, senior brother Ling Yushu also came in from outside. You were not here just now, this is the lot that junior sister drew for you. He put the lot sword on the table, you are lucky, you were a buy. Wait for Zhu Yingyan and Yuan Jinu to decide the winner, and then let the winner fight you. Thank you, senior brother. Luoyang said with a smile. Wow, it turns out that Shili's good luck can really radiate to me. I have decided that I will take Miss Shi with me when I go out for training in the future. The job of killing enemies and stealing storage bags will always be left to her. You should have a good rest. Seeing that he looked pretty good, Ling Yushu said goodbye and left. So Luoyang began to calculate in his mind. If Zhu Yingyan fights Yuan Jinyu, according to Qiu Cheng's Han and Ling Yunpo's understanding of that too, junior sisters Yu is likely to win. There is no other reason. The 7 wise exquisite heart plus the 9 heaven king way entering mantra, the leaden realm is too much, and the degree of abundance of true essence must be far beyond Yuan Jinyu. With her great bright fire spreading all over the field and the 9 fire escapes teleporting everywhere, she can be worn down to death even if she is being beaten. I can only say that in terms of a protracted war, the Shushan sword immortal is really no match for the Kunlun cultivators, and sisters Yu's current strength can completely form a deck specialized for a protracted war, and beat all the Shushan disciples except Nzisu and Ling Yunpo. If Sisters Yu wins, then I can take the opportunity to admit defeat and say that the sequelae of the exhaustion of the true essence have not yet recovered. Otherwise, if I really fight her, with the restraint of the acquired 5 elements of divine light on the fire system, there is no possibility of losing. If I defeat Sisters Yu, what if she holds a grudge against me, wouldn't it be bad? Chapter 459 The Belated Autumn Antenna. The next day, Zhu Yingyan defeated Yuan Jinyu and successfully advanced to the top 5, and was about to compete with Luoyang for the 4th place. She stood on the field with her arms folded, full of confidence, and felt that she was in great shape after defeating Yuan Jinyu. Not to mention Penglai Luoyang, even if senior brother Qiu was on the opposite side, she could still fight. However, at this time, there were only a few monks around, and the popularity outside the field was very dull. The reason was also very simple. In the previous competition with Yuan Jinyu, the red feather 9 phoenix fire spit out by junior sisters Yu cut several unlucky monks who were watching nearby. There were 2 accidents in a row. Even if no one died because of the mechanism of the Biujing secret realm, everyone was not a masochist, and naturally would not like to watch and suddenly experience near death, so they all stayed away, or simply did not watch junior sisters Yu's game. In this regard, Zhu Yingyan had only one comment. Weak. If you don't even have the courage to watch the game, how can you kill demons and be a decent monk? Zhu Yingyan was very upset. Of course, it was not because there were too few people around, but because his senior brother did not come to watch the game. Angry. Even if I did not invite you to watch my game, as my Taoist partner, you should have some sense of being a husband, right? Or do you think that the junior sister's game is not worth watching, so why not prepare for the game with the Tan from Shushan? The more Zhu Yingyan thought about it, the angrier he became, and his face became colder. He wished that Penglai Luoyang would show up and kill him to vent his anger. After waiting for about a quarter of an hour, just when Zhu Yingyan could hardly wait any longer, Shili finally arrived. Sorry, she said to Kunlun Xinrum at the scene in a panic, my junior brother's injury has not healed yet, so he can't come. What? Zhu Yingyan's voice temperature seemed to drop by 180 degrees. Why didn't you say it earlier? Kunlun Xinren asked reproachfully. Sorry. Shili said embarrassedly. You can't say that your junior brother asked you to do something last night, but you overslept this morning. When Kunlun Xinren encountered such an unreliable person, he had no choice but to say with a dark face. The Baiyusheng Grand Competition is a grand event jointly participated by the 3 pure ones of the Orthodox Church. How can it be treated as a joke? After stabbing Shiluli, she said coldly, Kunlun Yingyan won the 4th place in this competition. Penglai Loyan is the 5th, and Shushang Yuanzanu is the 6th. The list is kept as a witness. After saying that, Kunlun Xinren immediately threw out the flying sword and turned into a stream of light and left. The Phoenix Fairies competition could not be watched, but fortunately there was still the competition of the chief of the Foundation building realm. Let's go and watch it. The surrounding cultivators also followed suit and turned into streams of light and left. Seeing that all the audience had disappeared in an instant, Zhu Yingyan's face was a little difficult to tense, and his expression was as ugly as it could be. Shili saw this and didn't say anything. She didn't like Zhu Yingyan in the first place, and she was too lazy to say more to her at this time, so she turned around and left. Is he really not healed from his injuries? Zhu Yingyan stared at her back and said coldly. Miss she stopped, was silent for a moment, and said unhappily, if he hadn't given up, would you have gotten the 4th place in the competition? Zhu Yingyan. This is really heartbreaking. Because everyone knows that Phoenix Fairy's current combat power is 80% in that exquisite fire-based Taoist method. And the fire-based Taoist method is naturally restrained by the 5 elements divine light. When Zhu Yingyan faced Luo Yan, her strength was mostly wasted at the beginning, so she literally said if Luo Yan hadn't given up, you, Phoenix Fairy, would have no chance of winning. Zhu Yingyan wanted to retort, but she had no basis for her words. In addition, Luo Yan was not here at all, so she couldn't even invite him to fight, so she had to suppress her anger and said coldly, when your junior brother gets better, we can fight again. What's the point of fighting again? Shili said with a sneer, even if I win, can I still get the 4th place in the competition? If I lose, I will give him the 4th place. Zhu Yingyan said angrily. You said so I'll give it up. Shili also got angry. Then my junior brother also said verbally that he would give you the position of heir to Tiangong. Do you think anyone in Penglai would care about you? After saying that, Miss Shi's unique cleverness suddenly came up again. Wait, what if I make this Phoenix Fairy so angry that she doesn't care about anything and beats me up here? So she snorted coldly, stepped on the purple extreme Hunyuan sword, and instantly turned into a sword light and left. Zhu Yingyan wanted to say something else, but she literally turned around and ran away after saying something harsh, which made her feel aggrieved that I can't win the argument. After thinking about it, she could only suppress her anger that had nowhere to vent and go to watch her senior brother Qiu Cheng Tian's game. At the Yu King Temple in Tianmun Mountain, Luo Yan was ready to continue playing Qiu Cheng Tian. Load the game, Jing. He said in a deep voice. Point 1. Cunning, Jinline. Character identity. Qiu Cheng Tian. Mirror Flower Water Moon template overwritten, in the process of time and space shuttle. From Tianmun Mountain to Kunlun Mountain, the scenery of Jiangnan was immediately replaced by the blue sky and snow mountains. Zhu Yingyan was sitting in front of the cave, playing the piano with his bare hands, and the sound was clear. Several cranes stopped and stood beside them, combing their feathers leisurely in the sound of the piano. After so many years, Qiu Cheng Tian was very familiar with them. These big birds have long migrated between many lakes and streams in the Kunlun Mountains, feeding on fish, shrimp, insects and aquatic plants in shallow water. They should not have run to the mountains. But there is a silly girl here to feed them. Therefore, it is ridiculous to think that these cranes were attracted by music. Qiu Cheng Tian calmly took out a few bird food from under his sleeves, made of finely chopped fish meat dried and pressed. The cranes that were still combing their feathers immediately left Zhu Yingyan and walked over, surrounded Qiu Cheng Tian in a circle, waiting to be fed. Zhu Yingyan. Brother. She pressed the strings with 10 fingers and sighed, stop making trouble, bring that flute here quickly. Junior sister, do you have a new song? Qiu Cheng Tian smiled gently. Not bad. Zhu Yingyan played a piece of music and asked, how is it? There are a few places that may be changed. The two exchanged music until late at night. The cranes had already left, and they slowly returned to the cave. The Baiyusheng competition is coming. Zhu Yingyan sat down on the stone bed and suddenly said, "Brother, are you 100% sure? 100% is too arrogant." Qiu Changtian said with a smile, 99%. Zhu Yingyan was silent for a moment, and sighed. "Brother, are you deliberately irritating me?" "No." Qiu Changtian said frankly. "Then it's true." Zhu Yingyan seemed to be thinking about something. Qiu Changtian smiled but said nothing. "Not only am I sure I can get first place, I'm also sure you can get fourth place. Do you believe me, junior sister?" Chapter 460. Qiu Does Chief shines brightly. The Baiyuan competition is coming. Compared with the high morale of Shushan and the complaints of Penglai, the atmosphere of the foundation building disciples on the Kunlun side is obviously much more indifferent. To some extent, on the one hand, it is the so-called leader of the orthodox religion that is at work, and on the other hand, it is also the style brought out by a certain chief. Even the chief Qiu, who was asked by the head of the sect to in the first place in the competition, was so calm. How can we be as hot-blooded as the Shushan ruthless man, or as self-pitying as the weak chicken of Penglai? Therefore, although the faction did not make clear requirements for this, everyone unconsciously began to pay attention to their own demeanor and style, for fear of losing face for Kunlun. Sister Zhu also knew that the head of Ziwi had issued a military order. Qiu Changtian must get the first place. He cannot be second, nor can he be one. Fifth, and even tied for first place with others is not allowed, no discussion. Therefore, although Qiu Changtian said he was 99% sure, Sister Zhu didn't dare to ask directly, but she still dragged him to combat training every day, and asked the Tian and Zhu family to continue to collect information about the contestants for reference. Of course, Qiu Changtian was not interested in this information. I have said it twice. If Sister Zhu said it for the third time, it would be too water. In short, Qiu Changtian was confident enough to get the first place. The reason for practicing with Sister Zhu was to help her gain combat experience, so that she could get the fourth places in history. "Brother, look." During the break, Zhu Yingyan showed Qiu Changtian the Phoenix clan's skills that he had memorized from the secret realm of Guanming Palace. "I have basically practiced the previous Red Feather 9 Phoenix Fire. What skills should I learn next?" The Phoenix clan's skills are Zhu Yingyan's absolute secrets. If they are leaked to the enemy, they may be targeted to find a way to restrain them. Therefore, Zhu Yingyan showed him the technique, which was undoubtedly a manifestation of husband and wife at one. Qiu Changtian was naturally not hypocritical. After taking the jade slip, he carefully browsed it with his spiritual sense. "Learn this. The method of 9 numbers of fire escape," he said quickly. "Learn escape technique." Zhu Yingyan was a little surprised. She originally wanted to learn another attack method. "Yeah." Qiu Changtian smiled and said, "This escape technique is the best match for you at this stage." If someone else said this, Zhu Yingyan would probably sneer. Because of her strong personality, her first thought when facing the enemy is always to attack, and running away is not on her list of options. But Qiu Changtian proposed to learn escape technique. Zhu Yingyan thought about it seriously, and it seemed to make some sense. First of all, the fire escape technique must be in the fire, which is a bit harsh, but Zhu Yingyan's great light fire has a very wide range, which provides a very suitable environment for fire escape. Secondly, the single attack power of the Red Feather 9 Phoenix Fire is very strong. Zhu Yingyan chose this Taoist method in the first place to match Qiu Changtian's Five Thunders orthodox method. However, the Red Feather 9 Phoenix Fire needs to compress the true essence 9 times continuously, and there are certain defects in the speed of casting. If the mobility of the fire escape technique can be used, the slowness of the Red Feather 9 Phoenix Fire can be largely compensated. Thinking of this, Zhu Yingyan decided to learn this fire escape 9 numbers technique, because she thought it was necessary, and it was definitely not because it was recommended by her senior brother. After a period of time, the Baiyuan competition finally arrived. Thousands of Kunlun Foundation Establishment Realm disciples stepped on the sword light and flew towards the southeast. The leader was Kunlun's Miaofor's Hinran, who was born in the discipline hall and has always been fair and strict, so he is very suitable to serve as the referee of the subsequent competition. When the team arrived near Tianmu Mountain, they found that the Kunlun residence was located in the open space at the top of Tianmu Mountain, and many houses have been built with earth-based Taoist methods. 2 Kunlun's Hinran went to the entrance of the secret realm and used magic weapons to maintain the opening of the secret realm. Several Shushan's Hinran who came here in advance transported the huge jadeless magic weaponing. Qiu Changtian had no time to care about those trivial matters, because many disciples came to visit the Chief Qiu, hoping to learn some experience in fighting before the game. He received visitors continuously until late at night, and Zhu Yingyan rarely lost his temper and got angry, so the visitors dispersed with reluctance. The next morning, Qiu Changtian and Zhu Yingyan entered the Baiyujing secret realm together and prepared to start drawing lots. It was not until the Jade List released thousands of streams that Qiu Changtian reached out and grabbed the sword. It was indeed number 1. He went to the first pavilion, and saw that the person on the opposite side was also a Kunlun disciple. Seeing that his first match was against the Chief Qiu, he immediately bowed his hands happily and said, "Brother Qiu, it is a great honor for me to have the honor of fighting with you." Qiu Changtian saw that he was actually his fan, so he could only smile and say a few words to him, and then the two began to fight. Since it was the first battle of the chief of the Kunlun Foundation establishment realm, the high-rise stands inside the attic were already crowded with spectators. The vast majority were Kunlun disciples, and a small number were Shushan and Penglai monks. As Qiu Changtian drew out the Tianyuan Yeki sword, the stands erupted with deafening cheers from the Kunlun disciples. The Shushan and Penglai monks looked at each other in bewilderment. This Kunlun Chief Qiu, not to mention his strength, is such a grand show. Seeing that the Kunlun disciple on the field took a defensive posture, Qiu Changtian chose to attack first with his sword. Because he was a Taoist who had a clear mind and practiced the immortal secret method 9 Heavens Kingwei realm mantra, in the public's perception, his true energy was far more abundant than ordinary, so he could act boldly and without holding back like Luo Yan. Qiu Changtian used the Kunlun sword controlling root to circulate his ki, and his whole body's true energy was agitated. He used the Tianyuan Yeki sword to perform a move called White Rainbow penetrating the sun and shot it directly at the Kunlun disciple opposite. The disciple hurriedly blocked it with his sword, but his flying sword was knocked out at once, as if hitting a rock with an egg. The Tianyuan Yeki sword continued to move forward, piercing the ground in front of the Kunlun disciple, causing him to stagger and almost collapse to the ground. Qiu Changtian. This Tianyuan Yeki sword is indeed a treasured sword of the ancient clan. It does not use any fancy Taoist techniques or forbidden techniques. It is just powerful, hard, and reckless. It matches my style as the Chief Qiu very well. Cunning, Qiu Changtian wins. As the mechanical voice issued the judgment, the Kunlun disciple on the opposite side also came forward. There was no shame or unwillingness on his face for defeat. Instead, he smiled and said, "Chief's strength is beyond my reach." "Thank you," Qiu Changtian said modestly. Then, a large group of Kunlun disciples rushed down from the stands, surrounded Qiu Changtian, and congratulated him. "You are worthy of being the chief of Qiu University. This time, the chief will definitely win the championship." Qiu Changtian tried to deal with it in various ways, but couldn't get away. Fortunately, Zhu Yingyan arrived in time again and rescued Qiu Changtian from the enthusiastic siege of fans. "Now you are suffering from your fame, right?" Leaving the attic, the two flew up on swords, and Zhu Yingyan laughed. "I can't help it," Qiu Changtian said helplessly, "although I want to be low-key, I can't stand my strength and prestige. I really want to exchange with you, my junior sister." Zhu Yingyan was silent, and secretly angry. Chapter 461 Finally 800 years. Cunning, Qiu Changtian wins. Cunning, Qiu Changtian wins. Cunning, Qiu Changtian wins. Although it was a crushing victory, every time Qiu Changtian smashed the opponent's attack with a sword, it could trigger strong cheers from the surrounding stands. How did he become a big star with such an invincible character? As a result, when Qiu Changtian drew lots to face Kunlun disciples later, he couldn't bear to hit them too hard, so as not to beat them up. The opponent would have to thank him respectfully, which made him feel bad. Zhu Yingyan was also unstoppable. Most of the opponents couldn't resist her great light fire, let alone the red feather 9 phoenix fire. They were directly judged as defeated after a few burns. After a few days, junior brothers and sisters also came one after another. Big brother. Fifth junior brother Chenzhen said with a smile. Junior brother's Thong was eliminated in the 3rd round, and his opponent was from Yuqing Temple. Stop talking nonsense. 6th junior brother's Thong Tianhua sighed and said, the female cultivator of Yuqing Temple has a rare magic weapon called Star Sand. When it is used, it is overwhelming and ordinary flying swords can't resist it at all. Qiu Changtian. This description sounds familiar. I'm ashamed of the teachings of Big Brother. Thong Tianhua said ashamedly, I will not stay in Baiyujing. I plan to return to Kunlun to practice swordsmanship first. I came here to ask for my resignation from Big Brother. Junior Brother's Thong, don't worry too much. Kyo Chang's time comforted him, since this Bayujin competition is a draw, there'll naturally be differences in luck. Unfortunately, you draw a strong enemy and lose to the opponent, which does not mean that you are weak. As long as you can gain knowledge and get to know fellow cultivators, this trip will not be in vain. Big Brother is right. Thong Tianhua still couldn't let it go. He just said a few more words to everyone before turning around and leaving. Kyo Chang's time asked about the other people's situation and found out that Yuanzhen and Yanzichua had won easily. Chenzhen and Jin Qingnan had encountered several strong enemies and finally won. Although these junior brothers and sisters did not make it to the top 12 inches the end, considering the 3 pure ones of the Orthodox sect, there are more than 8,000 disciples, among whom there are many gifted people. It doesn't matter if they can't win in the end. The important thing is to participate. Half a month later, the top 12 of Bayujing were decided as expected. Kunling confirmed that 4 people entered, among which Kyo Chang's time and Zhu Yingyan won without suspense. Yuanzhen fought several evenly matched battles, relying on sufficient true essence, Yuan family's sharp swordsmanship, and a brave and fierce fighting spirit to survive. He is worthy at being the first disciple who can complete the road to heaven on the day when Kunlun was founded. If he hadn't met Kyo Chang's time and Zhu Yingyan in this generation, he would have been more than enough to be the chief. Yanzichua was in danger several times and almost collapsed. He was able to win to the top 12 only because of luck. For example, in the last round, his opponent had the upper hand, but he ran out of energy in advance and had to admit defeat. This junior brother Yang can compete with Mishi for the title of the luckiest person in this session. Apart from the disciples of the headmaster, many of the other disciples of the Kunlun elders made it into the top 100, but none of them made it into the top 12. This is not because they have no future, but because Kyo Chang's time and Zhu Yingyan's innate talents are too strong, and Yuanzhen and Yanzichua did not draw strong enemies. In any case, since we are the only ones who have advanced to the top 12, Kyo Chang's time said solemnly, everyone needs to work hard from now on, and don't lose the reputation of Kunlun. Well said. The head of Ziwi's sect stepped in from outside, holding the 7 treasures whisk in his arms, and said with satisfaction, the immortal is dissatisfied with the performance of the other disciples, but he is very appreciative of your performance. But after all, you have practiced the 9 heavens Pure Land Realm mantra, and it is only natural that you can achieve such an achievement. Next, you need to be as Chang's time said, guard against arrogance and impatience, and strive to win to the top 6. This is related to the reputation of Kunlun, and you must not slack off. Yes. Zhu Yingyan, Yuanzhen and Yanzichua all agreed in a deep voice. Although Kyo Chang's time agreed, he knew that the final ranking competition was not as easy as the head of the sect said. Yanzichua and Shilili are about the same level, and they are lucky enough to come in at the bottom. Yuanzhen is slightly stronger than Bishan, and his strength is in the middle and lower reaches among the 12. Lin Yuanzhen, Juanfen Hegai, and Yuan Chenyu, the 3 Shushan strongmen, are definitely the top strongmen. Zhu Yingyan is also at this level, and his combat power is slightly stronger than these 3. As for Kyo Chang's time and Zesu, they are the top strongmen who are above everyone else. He doesn't believe that Ziwi's sect master can't see it. To put it bluntly, no matter how hard Yanzichua tries, his hope of defeating Bishan is slim. Even if Yuanzhen can defeat Bishan, he is no match for Yuan Chenyu and others. It is impossible for the 2 junior brothers to win to the top 6. The master is setting performance goals in vain, and he doesn't care whether they can be achieved. Of course, although Kyo Chang's time sees it very clearly, as the most beloved disciple of Ziwi's sect master, he certainly can't directly undermine the master's stage, so he can only cooperate and say, there is no need to be obsessed with winning or losing, but we must go all out. Very good. Ziwi's sect master praised again and took out a pill bottle. Zhu Yidan, Kyo Chang's time sighed. Most of the secret medicines of Zifu are hard to come by. Whoever gets it in the adventure will take it on the spot, and you will not be given the opportunity to exchange it for precious magic weapons to tempt him. Only the Jusui Dan produced by the Immortals and the Jin Mercury Dan were produced in the Shushan Locking Demon Tao can achieve stable output. If I take another Jusui Dan, how many years will it take for my Immortal Cultivation? The Purple Mansion secret medicine acts a total of 775 years, plus my usual breathing accumulation, it is almost more than 800 years. As for crossing the heavenly tribulation, he has already made up his mind he will go directly to Reed Longlong's file and find a place to cross the tribulation in the East China Sea of the East Empire realm. The reason is very simple. The long line has almost no intersection with the other 4 lines. The East Empire realm is isolated from the cultivation world, and the East China Sea is the territory of Kanglong. Continuing to find a remote place in the East can isolate the outside world to the greatest extent. Just wait for the Baiyuzheng competition to end, and then start planning to form a pill. After returning to the room with Zhu Yinglian, Qiu Chengtai took the Zhu Suidan and refined it. He opened his eyes and asked junior sister Zhu beside him, "Junior sister, how many years have you been cultivating in the Wafu now?" Including this Zhu Suidan, it has been 313 years. Zhu Yinglian replied, "Brother, how about you?" Qiu Chengtai smiled and said, "After the Baiyuzheng competition is over, I will go out to prepare for the Dan. This matter is too urgent. I don't plan to let anyone know the place for the tribulation." Zhu Yinglian was silent for a moment, showing obvious worry, and asked, "Are you sure?" As if she thought of something, she immediately added, "Don't say 99%. Crossing the tribulation, who can be sure?" Qiu Chengtai said casually, "After I form the Dan, it is very likely that you will take over as the chief of the foundation building realm. After becoming the chief of the foundation building realm, you can go to the Tianmen Hall to gain enlightenment, and you will have 70 years of Wafu cultivation. In this way, junior sister will have 383 years of Wafu cultivation, and only 17 years are left to form the second grade golden elixir." "I will." Zhu Yinglian said solemnly, "I will make up for my cultivation as soon as possible and catch up with you." After that, she showed a rare tenderness and whispered, "If you need anything, go directly to the Tian and Zhu family. You must come back alive." The last transition chapter, the next chapter will start. Be a book, the title of which is My Academic Life Simulator. Published 20 SCI and Sci papers in 1 semester. Covering all fields of mathematics, physics, chemistry, literature, and art. Academic fraud. It must be academic fraud. This student must be found out, nailed to the shame rack, and criticized forever. Gifeng looked at the various insults against himself on the internet, and suddenly felt that he seemed to have played too big, but this is just a drop in the ocean of Gifeng's wonderful life, because he is bound to the academic simulator. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 462. The First Round of Destruction. In the first round of Baiyuzheng, Qiu Chengtai faced Bashan. Bashan was a frequent visitor to the top 10 of the Shushan Immortal Sword ranking, and most of the time her ranking was between 6th and 8th. From the fact that it was difficult for her to win to the top 5, it can be seen that Bashan's strength was still far behind Lin Yulanzhen and others, and the most important factor was impatientness. Once the opponent adopted a tactic that wore out her patience, Bashan would often rush to attack, and accidentally reveal her flaws. If she could not change this mentality, she would never become a great swordsman. However, Qiu Chengtai did not intend to use the tactics of maneuvering to fight Bashan like other Shushan strongmen. He decided to continue the quick battle and crush the enemy with overwhelming force. Since the two did not know each other, there was no gimmick of greeting before the game. The moment the game started, Bashan directly merged with the sword, and the sword light instantly surged several feet. Good time. Qiu Chengtai was also refreshed. There was nothing wrong with Bashan's tactical choice. Considering Qiu Chengtai's ridiculously abundant true energy, one would be crazy to fight a protracted war with him. You have to use your ultimate move at the beginning. If the ultimate move can't kill him, it means that the difference in strength is really too big, and you can just admit defeat, and it saves time and effort. Facing the huge green sword light in front of him, Qiu Chengtai was not in a hurry. He just raised his hand to control the Tianyuan Yeki sword, poured his powerful true energy into it, and slashed directly in front of him. There was only a loud noise like the collapse of the sky and the crack of the earth. The colliding Tianyuan Yeki sword and the green sword light were both shaken back several feet away. Qiu Chengtai's face was indifferent, and he quickly stabilized the Tianyuan Yeki sword, while the green sword light instantly dissipated, revealing Bashan, who was as white as gold paper and looked like he had been severely injured. This is the disadvantage of the unity of man and sword. Because the force is mutual, once the offensive is violently broken by the front, it will suffer the same degree of recoil damage as the attack force. Of course the flying sword can withstand this damage, after all, it is made of gold and iron, but the sword immortal who merges his body with the sword will suffer. Even a strong sword immortal like Senior Sister and vomited blood after crashing into the King Ching mounting, how could Bai Shen resist? Seeing her forcibly holding her face, as if she was enduring great pain, Qiu Changtai frowned and looked at her, saying in his heart, "Vomit. Vomit." Before the third vomit was finished, Bai Shen finally couldn't hold it back and vomited a large mouthful of blood, as if she had suffered a serious internal injury. Qiu Changtai calmly raised the Tianyuan Yeki sword again, and saw Bai Shen take a pill, and then forced the sword to merge again, using the speed increase in the ultimate state to dodge the attack of the Tianyuan Yeki sword. No way, so desperate. Using the ultimate move again before the internal injury has recovered. Qiu Changtai sighed in his heart and continued to chase with the Tianyuan Yeki sword, while Bai Shen fled left and right, not daring to take Qiu Changtai's attack. Half of her life was lost after taking one attack, so how could she dare to take the second attack? Now it seems that Bai Shen must hope to delay time, find her own flaws and launch a fatal attack. This is probably her only chance to turn the tables. However, will I give her this opportunity? Qiu Changtai sighed, and then waved his sleeves again, hitting a Chi Thunder. Chi Thunder's single attack ability is not strong, but its killing range is extremely large. Qiu Changtai controlled the input of the true essence strength and limited it to the range of Baiyuzheng Square. There was another loud thunder, and its lightning spread all over the field, leaving no place for people to escape. Bai Shen's sword light was hit hard by the divine thunder, and she was forced to withdraw from the state of unity between man and sword. While her body was thrown out in the air, she was directly penetrated by the Tianyuan Yeki sword. Then she was reborn in Baiyuzheng Square. Cunning, Qiu Changtai wins. The mechanical voice sounded, and cheers rang out again around. But this time, everyone was not only cheering for Qiu Changtai, but also for Bai Shen. The fact that this Shushan swordsman could fight with Chief Qiu to this extent has fully demonstrated the perseverance and unyielding spirit of Shushan. In any case, never giving up is always admirable. Bai Shen has done her best. Defeat is not her problem. The main reason is that Chief Qiu was too strong. Qiu Changtai left calmly. This time, not only the Kunlun disciples cast longing eyes on him, but even the Shushan disciples looked at him with awe. Very good, the reputation of the invincible character began to spread to Shushan. One day, all the practitioners in the cultivation world will brush the synchronization value for me. Although Bai Shen was seriously injured, he did not rush to leave. He just took a few pills first, and then stared at Qiu Changtai's departing back with a complicated look. Is this the power of the Kunlun chief? Extremely strong with force, even if it is what Senior Sister said. Qiu Changtai came to the outside of the field and saw that the Kunlun disciples around him all showed a proud expression. How is it? Zhu Yingyan asked him. I think the Shushan sword fairy has good potential, but she is weak in all aspects. She mainly lacks a decisive attack method. Qiu Changtai said calmly, when her strongest combination of human and sword is broken, she can't come up with a turnaround move. He turned his eyes to the crowd and said seriously, thousands of moves and tens of thousands of spells should not only pursue depth, but also breadth. If you are limited to one attack method, then if you can't beat the opponent in a head-on confrontation, what other means can you come up with to break the situation? I will teach you. The Kunlun people said respectfully, but they were speechless in their hearts. Chief, you can defeat the opponent head-on with swordsmanship, which is Shushan's best swordsmanship. What other means can the opponent have to break the situation? With such a huge gap in strength, there is no way to turn the tables. That's true. Zhu Yingyan frowned and said, but given the current situation of most junior brothers and sisters, they have to do their best to pursue depth, so where do they get the time and energy to pursue breadth? Everyone. Is it our fault that we don't have the talent for cultivation? Do we have to point it out so bluntly? Qiu Changtai laughed and said, I didn't make it clear. I didn't say that it's inappropriate to practice one method. I just remind everyone that when you meet your needs, you can appropriately consider increasing the diversity of attack methods. Don't dare. The chief is right. Everyone in Kunlun started to talk at once, fearing that Qiu Changtai would misunderstand. Who did Junior Sisters you draw? Qiu Changtai changed the subject and asked knowingly. Lin Yuanzhen. Zhu Yingyan took out the sword. This person's swordsmanship is changeable, Junior Sister, be careful. Qiu Changtai continued to ask, Junior Brother Yuan and Junior Brother Yan? Luo Yan. Yuanzhen said coldly. Yuan Yu. Yan Zichui also smiled bigly. Luo Yan doesn't have many moves, but judging from his previous battles, he mainly used the magic weapons in the Tiangong 100 treasure bag. Qiu Changtime said hypocritically, junior brother Yuan can consider attacking first, and don't give him the opportunity to take out and activate the magic weapons, otherwise the outcome will be unpredictable. Although Yuanzhen has a cold and arrogant personality, he knows that what the eldest brother said is correct, so he nodded slightly. As for junior brother Yan, Qiu Changtime thought for a moment and said, if you can't win, you can defend instead of attack and wait and see. If you can make Yuan Yu slack off and reveal a flaw, there will be a chance to turn defeat into victory. The implication is that Yan Zichu's overall strength is not as good as Yuan Yu's, and he can only hope that the other party will accidentally reveal a flaw. Yan Zichu didn't say much, but just bowed deeply. Junior brother, I will teach you. Chapter 463. Preparing for the second round. Soon, it was the turn of Zhu Yingyan and Lin Yulanzhen to fight. In Qiu Changtime's opinion, although Lin Yulanzhen had extraordinary attainments in swordsmanship, Zhu Yingyan's rank was really beyond the scope. The 7 Aperture Exquisite Heart, the 9 Sky Pure Land Realm Mantra, the Phoenix True Blood, together, it was beyond the level that the disciples of the Watfu rank could handle. To put it in an analogy, it was like the top student in elementary school fighting against a high school student. As long as Zhu Yingyan did not make a fatal mistake, it would be very difficult for Lin Yulanzhen to win. When they arrived at the scene, it was exactly as Qiu Changtime expected. Under the coverage of the Great Bright Fire, although Lin Yulanzhen used the sword method of a water-based immortal sword to suppress the Great Bright Fire, he could not withstand Zhu Yingyan's more powerful true essence. After dozens of breaths, Lin Yulanzhen could not hold on any longer and could only stop the sword method and make a final struggle with the unity of man and sword. Then he was worn to death in the Great Bright Fire. The Shushan monks present were quite upset, because there was a saying among the righteous sects, Kunlun is strong, Shushan is fierce, and Penglai is strange. Or in more popular terms, Kunlun defeats Shushan, Shushan defeats Penglai, and Penglai defeats Kunlun. The meaning is also very clear. Kunlun's strength is all round, unlike Shushan, which only focuses on swordsmanship. If Kunlun monks can use Taoism or magic weapons to prevent or delay the attack of Shushan's sword immortal, they can use more powerful true essence to grind Shushan's sword immortal to death. The battle between Zhu Yingyan and Lin Yulanzhen is undoubtedly the best proof of this saying. The Great Bright Fire covered the entire field. If Lin Yulanzhen wanted to avoid being burned to death, he could only suppress the Great Bright Fire with the sword Taoism of the Water Immortal Sword. However, this method is not a forbidden method, and its effect is not as overbearing as the green mist cover and the Kan Mountains of the Kingping Sword, which caused Lin Yulanzhen's true essence to be consumed like water from a floodgate. In addition, Zhu Yingyan put aside his pride and played a roundabout strategy with him, so Lin Yulanzhen no longer had any chance of winning. It can be seen that once this Kunlun monk is shameless, he is really the nemesis of the Shushan sword immortal to some extent. It is also very simple for Shushan to defeat Penglai. It takes time for Penglai monks to use their true essence to activate magic weapons. In the early stage, they often need to use swordsmanship to resist the opponent's attack to buy time for the circulation of true essence. With the poor combat effectiveness of the people in Yu King Temple, they are often killed before they can even use their magic weapons. As for Penglai defeating Kunlun, it is purely a joke. It is said that the monks in Yu King Temple have all kinds of messy means. Although they often show off all over the place and then get killed by a sword, they sometimes have a chance to turn the tables, and even Kunlun monks are easily fooled. Penglai uses wonders is a more accurate statement. Zhu Yingyan won one game, which opened up the situation for Kunlun, but Yuanzhen and Yan Zichu lost one after another, which poured cold water on the excited Kunlun disciples. Ordinary disciples thought, sure enough, Chief Qiu and Phoenix Fairy are more powerful, but knowledgeable disciples saw a deeper layer, that is, in today's cultivation world, many top competitions are no longer humanly possible. Is Yuanzhen not diligent in his practice? Is Yan Zichu not hard-working in his practice? The former joined the frontline patrol team and was active in the front line of fighting with the demon cult every day. His swordsmanship has been tempered 1,000 times. The latter practiced day and night without stopping, and never wasted a single day throughout the year. However, it is impossible to make up for the gap with Doxin Tongming and Qiapuchalin Longxin. The first round of the competition is over. Qiu Changtime and Zhu Yingyan from Kunlun entered the winners group, and Yuanzhen and Yan Zichu entered the losers group. According to the draw, the order of the winners group tomorrow is Qiu Changtime vs. Yuan Jinyu, Zhu Yinglyan vs. Ling Yunpo, and Zissou vs. Luo Yan. We can mourn for Yuan Jinyu and junior sisters Yu in advance. Oh, I already knew the result, so it's okay. As for the losers, it's Yuanzhen vs. Xiaoli, Lin Yulanzhen vs. Bishan, and Juan Fanhai vs. Yan Zichui. As far as Qiu Cheng time knows, junior brother Yuan should have won this time, while junior brother Yan lost 2 games in a row. Of course, although he already knew the result, he still had to pretend that he didn't know at all and review the tactics with his junior brothers and sisters. Ling Yunpo is the second on the Shushan Immortal Sword list. Qiu Cheng time said slowly, whether it's the speed, strength, rank of that flying sword, or his swordsmanship attainments and combat experience, there is no shortcoming. Equivalent to a slightly weaker Zissou? Zhu Yinglyan asked thoughtfully. Qiu Cheng Tian. Then are you a weakened version of Qiu Cheng Tian, junior sisters Yu? Penglai Stone Glaze, I can't say. Qiu Cheng Tian thought for a moment and said, the rank of flying sword, Taoist magic and magic weapon are all very high, but the combat experience is pitiful. Junior brother Yuan can attack with all his strength at the beginning, suppress the opponent's rhythm, and fully expose her disadvantage of lack of experience. Yeah. Yuanzhen was still taciturn, just nodded. Junior brother Yan, Qiu Cheng Tian turned to Yan Zichui, with a headache. Shushan Yuan Fanhai has no tactical shortcomings, but his advantages are obvious. He was born as a chivalrous knight in the rivers and lakes in his early years, his moves are extremely decisive and capable, and his combat experience is rich and experienced. When facing such a person, it is not recommended to use delaying tactics to lure him to reveal his flaws, because you may not be able to outlast him in this regard. If possible, try to use surprising moves. I understand. Yan Zichui said seriously, the only way is to try your best. The discussion ended here, and everyone dispersed. No one asked Qiu Cheng Tian how to deal with Yuan Jinyu, because everyone knew that Yuan Jinyu could not be Qiu Cheng Tian's opponent. After leaving Kunlun Station, Qiu Cheng Tian wandered around for a while, and suddenly saw a sword light descending. Yuan Jinyu. Hello, fellow Daoist Qiu. Yuan Jinyu landed on the ground and said with a smile, Yuan Jinyu from Shushan is also Yuanzhen's cousin. All these years, thanks to your care for him. Why do you say that? Qiu Cheng Tian said gently, he is my junior brother. Since I am teaching on behalf of the master, I naturally have the obligation to support his practice. This was really shameful, because Qiu Cheng Tian's support for Yuanzhen was far less than that for Zhu Yinglyan. On one side is his wife, and on the other side is his junior brother. How can it be the same? Yuan Jinyu pondered for a moment and said, I know he is usually cold and arrogant, but there are actually reasons for that. If it was someone else, they would definitely reject and dislike him, but fellow Daoist Qiu treats him as the same as other junior brothers and sisters, and treats him equally. This is why I came here to thank you. Ahem. Qiu Cheng Tian suddenly felt embarrassed. It was strange. He didn't think Qiu Cheng Tian could respond calmly when he specifically recommended Yuanzhen. But when he found out that what Yuan Jinyu said was indeed true, he felt inexplicably ashamed. Tomorrow's battle, I hope you can give me some advice, brother Qiu. Yuan Jinyu smiled at last, and then flew away on his sword. Qiu Cheng Tian. He watched Yuan Jinyu disappear into the sky, thinking that this person just came here to say hello. Thinking about it carefully, Yuan Jinyu said a lot of useless polite words, but only revealed one useful information. Something seemed to have happened in Yuanzhen's past, which caused him to become so cynical now. However, what does this have to do with me? I have to finish the Baiyuan competition quickly, and then go to overcome the first grade Golden Elixir Heavenly Tribulation. Chapter 464. One word of anger, one word of joy. The second round of Baiyuan. Qiu Cheng Tian calmly pressed down the sword light, only to see Yuan Jinyu waiting here and bowing gracefully. The rule of the competition in the cultivation world is that the younger generation arrives first, bows first, and then takes the first shot in the competition. Yuan Jinyu's behavior is like putting himself in a more vulnerable position. However, neither Qiu Cheng Tian on the opposite side nor the Shushan disciples present felt anything wrong. Because Qiu Cheng Tian is really strong, and as the chief senior brother of the foundation building realm, this title sounds like a higher generation. After a few pleasantries, the competition began normally. Yuan Jinyu did not hesitate to merge with the sword, and the emerald green sword light surged several feet, and fiercely killed Qiu Cheng Tian. Qiu Changtai raised his arm, and the Tianyuan sword slashed at the emerald green sword light, but Yuan Jinyu suddenly changed his phase, dodged the attack, and continued to stab at the same speed. Obviously, although the opponent was in a posture of unity of man and sword, and going all out, he still left room for speed, keeping it within the range that he could easily control. Qiu Changtai turned his head and glanced at Yuanzhen, who was standing outside the field with an expressionless face. He thought that Yuan Jinyu really had good intentions, and it depended on whether Yuanzhen could understand. Yuan Jinyu missed the attack, and quickly withdrew from the unity of man and sword. He then used the two-handed sword control technique, pinched the sword formula, and used the Yuan family's secret sword energy transformation technique, attacking Qiu Changtai from 3 directions. Qiu Changtai took back the Tianyuan sword and rotated around his body to block the attack. Sure enough, Yuan Jinyu also attacked from 3 sides, which was very similar to the start of the battle between Yuanzhen and Luoyan, but her attack was very methodical. She did not attack wildly like Yuanzhen, but always maintained the formation of 2 attacks and 1 support. Qiu Changtai is an expert in swordsmanship after all, and he also has rich experience in controlling the 3 swords. Naturally, he knows that this method is more uncomfortable than a full-strength attack. When the sword is flying, you only need to keep an eye on the sword path. But when the sword is in the sheath, you need to be on guard all the time, which consumes much more of your mind than the former. I just don't know if Yuanzhen can comprehend it. He used the Tianyuan sword to defend his body, and suddenly swung his sleeves to hit a Chi thunder, repelling all the attacks from the surroundings. Yuan Jinyu saw that the attack method was ineffective, but he did not panic. He just chanted aloud and activated the sword method. The vines are rugged, and the ancient trees are towering. Countless trees and vines broke through the bricks on the ground of Baiyuzhang Square and instantly occupied a large amount of space. Qiu Changtai quickly flew up with the sword, thinking that such an exaggerated power must not be a Taoist method, but a wood-related forbidden method. Why has Ling Yunpo never seen Yuan Jinyu use this forbidden method before? Good, it's hidden deep enough. The sturdy old tree rose up to more than 10 feet, with branches and leaves spreading out in all directions. Looking closely, the edges of the leaves were iron-colored. They were not ordinary tender leaves, but hard as steel. If a cultivator was flying with a sword and was accidentally scratched by the edge of the leaves, he might end up with his flesh and bones cut. There were also a large number of green vines, which quickly climbed up around the trunk and waved vigorously like tentacles. Every time they waved, a low whistle sounded. Obviously, if they hit the cultivator, the skin and flesh would be torn apart immediately. Qiu Changtai laughed dumbly, thinking that the large-scale Taoist magic covering the entire field, blocking the line of sight, and restricting movement has always been a patent of cunning cultivators, such as sisters use great lightning fire, but he didn't expect it to be imitated by Yuan Jinyu. It can be broken with the same large-scale Chi Thunder, but Chi Thunder is not a secret trump card. Qiu Changtai didn't think Yuan Jinyu would be unprepared. Furthermore, although he was interested in fighting Yuan Jinyu, if he dragged it out for too long, it would inevitably affect his invincible character. In this case, I can only use my ultimate move. A Jin, scan. There. Kunlun Mirror prompted. Qiu Changtai's sight passed through the layers of branches and leaves, and soon locked onto Yuan Jinyu's outline. She didn't know what method she used to hide herself in the roots of a towering ancient tree. In other words, even if Qiu Changtai used Chi Thunder to destroy the withered and rotten, he would probably only be able to destroy the middle and upper parts of the trunk, and it was unlikely to hit her at the bottom. And she could hide calmly underground, manipulate the leaves and vines to attack Qiu Changtai, and if the tree was destroyed, she would reactivate the growth of Taoism. If the true essence was gone, she would take a pill. Anyway, Qiu Changtai couldn't find her, not a bad design, but it was too vulgar, a little unlike the style of the Shushan sword Immortal. Qiu Changtai could guess Yuan Jinyu's painstaking efforts, which was nothing more than wanting to personally demonstrate to Yuanzhen that he should not be bound by the so-called pride, and should use any means when necessary. That's enough. Do you really think of me as a teaching tool? The Tianyuan sword suddenly fell like a sword, and directly hit Yuan Jinyu deep in the tree roots. Countless vines hurriedly tried to intercept, but were repelled by the Tianyuan sword like a broken bamboo, until Yuan Jinyu's natal sword rushed out horizontally, and hurriedly blocked it. The next second, another red and black lightning flashed, but it was the fastest Qiandu thunder in the 5 thunders. It rushed in along the gap torn by the Tianyuan sword, pierced through the roots of the towering tree, and pierced Yuan Jinyu's abdomen in her surprised expression. With Gyunchinu's defeat and resurrection, all traces of Taoism on the field disappeared, leaving only the dilapidated Baiyusheng Square. Gyunchinu appeared in the square, saluted sincerely and said, "Chief Qiu was really amazing. I lost." "Thank you," Qiu Changtai said in return. The surroundings were silent for a moment, and then a wave of cheers like a landslide and tsunami sounded. Just when the wood-type forbidden method appeared just now, looking at the dense and towering golden Dian forest, many people thought that Chief Qiu would encounter a strong enemy this time. As a result, Qiu Changtai only used one sword. He killed Gyunchinu instantly. This just proves that the gold content of this Kunlun Foundation establishment realm chief is absolutely not a bit of false reputation. Zhu Yinglyan watched from afar and was relieved. Just now, there was a moment, of course she swore it was only a moment, Zhu Yinglyan didn't know why, suddenly had the absurd idea that senior brother is afraid that this time I'm afraid it will be a hard battle. In the end, it was still a smooth and steady victory, which made Zhu Yinglyan secretly curse herself for being too suspicious. If senior brother Gao can be stumped so easily, then what am I who has never stumped him? How do you feel, senior brother? Zhu Yinglyan asked softly when Qiu Changtai came to his side. Not bad. Qiu Changtai replied with a smile. What's not bad? Seeing his seemingly innocent but actually arrogant smile, Zhu Yinglyan suddenly felt a little unhappy and asked jealously, is it the appearance or the figure? I just won a game and I'm in a good mood. Qiu Changtai replied calmly, as for the appearance and figure of the opponent, I didn't pay much attention to it. Hey, speaking of this, junior sister has lost some weight recently. Did she stay awake all night because of the Baiyusheng competition? No. Zhu Yinglyan was originally happy with what he said, but when she heard the last sentence, she became angry again. Chapter 465. A reckless man without a master. In the second round of Baiyusheng competition, Qiu Changtai played Gyunchinu for the first time and won the first victory for Kunlun. The second game was between Anzisu and Luoyan, and the third game was between Ling Yunpo and Zhu Yinglyan. Looking carefully, why was there me in every match list? I was really worried and troubled to take on all 3 rounds of the winner group by myself. The 3 pure ones of the Orthodox Church should give me a big red envelope. Let's get back to the point. Qiu Changtai knew both the process and the results of these 2 games, so there was no need to watch them. Before the duel with Anzisu, he needed to do one more thing, which was to make adequate preparations for the next Danjiri. The so-called golden elixir has different names in the classics of various schools. Pendla called it True Lead and Yangdane, Kunlun called it True On Essence and True On Water, and Shushang called it the most unique, called it Chi contains True Key, and I don't know what the illusion is. Of course, everyone is still used to calling it golden elixir. The method of forming a pill is very simple. After the foundation of the purple mansion is established, the virtual and the real meet and condense into a millet-sized bead. As for how to meet the virtual and the real, it depends on the different methods of forming a pill. The low-level methods are often vague in this regard, so the grade and success rate of the pill are naturally low. Even if the pill is successful, it is likely to be a crooked melon and a jujube, which makes people cry. The high-level methods can tell the secrets of heaven in a few words, so it will be twice the result with half the effort to form a pill. In terms of rank, what can compare with Kunlun's immortal level secret method, 9 Heavens King Wei entering the realm mantra? As for the key refining techniques of other people's settings, such as Tiasan Hunyuan Ryu Jing and Xiama Shangling Fen Bei King Zhu Jin, there is no need to mention them. If it is not an immortal secret method, I really look down on it. In the 9 Heavens Pure Land True words, the secret method of forming the elixir is written very clearly, and even the corresponding heavenly tribulations are clearly marked. To form the Supreme 9 Extremes top grade golden elixir, if it is the 3rd grade, there will be 1 round of elixir formation tribulation. If it is the 2nd grade, there will be 2 rounds of elixir formation tribulations. Each round of heavenly tribulation, like the one experienced by the senior brother Zhu Chain King before, has the power of a hydrogen bomb explosion that is almost destructive. If the elixir is the 1st grade, you can enjoy 3 rounds of noble heavenly tribulations, and give away the soul-splitting and non-reincarnation packages, which is really touching. Qiu Changtai is now following the method of forming the elixir of the 1st grade, and he has to experience 3 rounds of heavenly tribulations. The first is the 5 elements tribulation, and the specific tribulation depends on luck. The second is the inner demon tribulation. It is said that Kunlun has counted the cultivators who failed to form the elixir. Those who were unfortunate enough to encounter the inner demon tribulation during the elixir formation period have a death rate of more than 70%. Those who have formed the elixir of the second or first grade are not random, but will inevitably encounter the inner demon tribulation. But for those who have a clear mind, the inner demon is here to send them to you, and they are not to be feared. The third is the yin-yang tribulation. The nine heavens pure land realm mantra is vague here, with only 8 big characters to describe the danger. Thousands of disasters go hand in hand, and there is no life. Even though Qiu Chang's time is always calm, he couldn't help but laugh when he saw this. You might as well just ask me to buy a coffin. He was studying the damn condensation tribulation, and the top 12 matches were also decided one after another. In the winners group, Zisu narrowly defeated Luo Yan with a slight advantage, and Ling Yunpo defeated Zhu Yingyan with a sinister hidden move. In the losers group, because Luo Yan overdrawn his true essence and fainted, Mishu was obviously not in good shape. She used Tui Gao Chenya Pokusing's art to block a few times, and found that it was messed up by Yuan's sword energy, so she simply admitted defeat and hurriedly left to visit her junior brother. Yan Zichua struggled hard, trying to copy Zhu Yingyan's fighting style and trap Juan Fanhai with large-scale Taoist magic, but was seen through by the more experienced Juan Fanhai, who immediately attacked with sword and killed Yan Zichua in a few rounds. Your swordsmanship is not good, junior brother Yan. If you can't even hold on at the beginning, it's useless for you to plan your tactics to the sky in the future. Everyone returned to the Jianmu mountain base one after another, only to see Yuanzhen with a cold face, without any joy of victory, and went back to his room silently. Yan Zichua was helpless, chatted with Qiu Chang's for a few words, and then went to the training ground to prepare for the battle. Zhu Yingyan was defeated by Ling Yunpo with the 3 swords of the same control technique and missed the top 3. When he came back, his face was full of frost and his mood was so bad that he asked Qiu Chang's directly when he saw him. Senior brother, when you were in the sea of fire of the great light fire, your vision was clearly blocked. How did you find my position? This, Qiu Chang's was stunned and couldn't answer. Cold sweat broke out on his back. Zhu Yingyan hadn't noticed that he was behaving differently, and just said angrily, I thought the great bright fire could conceal my figure, but I didn't expect that he would use some method to lock me firmly, and found an opportunity to cut directly in front of me. In addition, this Ling Yunpo can obviously control 3 swords, but he had been pretending to only control swords with 2 hands, which caught me off guard. He was so cunning. I didn't expect that Shushan would have such a scheming person. Qiu Chang's had quickly restrained his expression on his face, and said thoughtfully, it is not impossible to cover up the figure with a large-scale Taoism. As far as I know, for example, Shushan Yuan Fanhai is very good at the art of locating by sound. Even if you can't see it with your eyes, as long as the flying sword hits you in the air, it can lock your position through the sound. As for Ling Yunpo, I don't know what method he used. But junior sister, your defeat this time is mainly due to your overconfidence in your own Taoism and your rash underestimation of the enemy. Of course I know. Zhu Yingyan said angrily, I don't intend to put the blame for the defeat on my opponent. I just hate myself for making such a low-level mistake. It's really abominable. She gritted her teeth, her face was cold, and she became more and more angry. She simply pulled Qiu Chang's back to the room and vented. Qiu Chang's knew that this junior sister had a strong temper, so he picked out nice words to say, and finally made Zhu Yingyan no longer care about the defeat, and her mood improved a lot. Of course, those are all later, so I won't mention them here. The next day, according to the order of the draw, it was Qiu Chang's spy, and Zisu and Ling Yunpo would face off. As a result, Ling Yunpo gave up on the spot and pushed Zisu up to compete with Qiu Chang's for the first place. Finally, after passing 3 plots at the same time, I finally reached the final today. Qiu Chang's was rubbing his hands in anticipation, wishing he could beat up senior sister and right away. No, it was to say that it would be a wonderful thing to have a fight with Zisu and decide the top spot in a grand manner. Zisu had been waiting on the opposite side of the field for a long time. Qiu Chang's pressed down the sword light and saw that Zisu's expression seemed a little gloomy. Oh, think about it carefully. Unfortunately, she was drawn into a civil war with her junior brother, but her junior brother deliberately admitted defeat and gave her the opportunity to participate in the finals. How could senior sister Anne, who was extremely protective of her shortcomings, be happy? If it weren't for Ling Yunpo's patient consolation of senior sister Anne last night, telling her not to be too obsessed with winning or losing, I'm afraid that today Zisu would not be sad, but would be furious and want to choke people to vent her anger. Fellow Daoistan. Qiu Chang's saluted and said, please give me your advice. Zisu was obviously unhappy and perfunctorily cupped his hands. Qiu Chang's didn't care, because he knew that senior sister had been taught badly by Su Jian since she was a child, and she didn't know anything except chopping people. But how could the surrounding Kunlun disciples know this? Seeing that Nzisu didn't give Qiu Chang's face and even saluted so perfunctorily, they were immediately filled with righteous indignation. How could this Shushan chief be so rude? There are so many reckless people in Shushan, isn't it normal that they don't know the etiquette of dueling? I heard that the chief was a person who had no master to teach him since he entered the sect. Such a ridiculous thing is impossible in Kunlun, but it's not surprising when you think about Shushan. The Mat cannon hit all of Shushan, and soon some Shushan disciples glared at the people around them, forcing the Kunlun disciples who were talking to shut up with their murderous eyes. But it was too late to shut up at this time, because Nzisu on the field had excellent hearing and had heard the criticisms of the people around him. No, master, reckless man, fellow Daoist fan. Qiu Chang's just hesitated to speak, and saw Nzisu solemnly saluted, clasped her fists and said, "Fellow Daoist Qiu, I have no prejudice against you. But now that you, a disciple of Kunlun, have insulted my master, in order to defend the dignity of King Luo Peak, I have no choice but to fight to the death." After saying that, she drew out the Feian and Hanlian swords, and her whole temperament suddenly became like a sword out of its sheath, and immediately overflowed with murderous aura. Qiu Chang's Chapter 466. I had too many cards. The competition began. When ordinary Shushan monks faced Kunlun monks, they would subconsciously choose to attack first, not giving Kunlun monks time to drag into a protracted battle. If the difference in strength between the two sides was huge, they might have to combine their swords with their people right from the start, either winning quickly or losing quickly. At least it would be refreshing enough. But Nzisu did not come up to attack, she just shot out the cold and flying swords at the same time, and at the same time, her body flashed, and she performed the dividing cloud backward step, and quickly disappeared from Qiu Chang's sight. Although she did not use the big move of combining her sword with her people right from the start, the cold and flying smoke were two-way attacks, and Nzisu moved around the field with footwork, and in the blink of an eye, she seized the initiative on the battlefield. Even though her reputation in Shushan was not good, after the criticism from Kunlun disciples, Shushan had already developed a sense of common hatred and immediately cheered for Nzisu. Sword immortal. Sword immortal. Qiu Chang's didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He saw that Feian and Hanlian's swords had already shot in front of him, but the distance between them was so large that the Tianyuan Yeki sword couldn't defend against both at the same time. If it were other cultivators, they would be at a loss immediately when they encountered Nzisu's precise calculation. But someone was very familiar with Sister Anne's swordsmanship, and knew all the tricks she could play with the advantage of her natural swordsmanship. How could you be stumped by such an attack? Qiu Chang's threw out a jade pivot thunder, forcing the Hanlai sword on the left to retreat. The Tianyuan Yeki sword shot out quickly, directly knocking the Feian sword flying away, and continued to move forward, stabbing straight to the east side of the square, which was exactly where Nzisu would land the next second after performing the dividing cloud 8 diagrams step. Nzisu also reacted very quickly. Before being hit by the Tianyuan Yeki sword, she made an emergency stop to dodge the flying sword. Just as she was about to turn around and change direction, the Minxia sword, a 9th level gold flying sword that she usually used for long-distance sword travel, suddenly shook out from her sleeve and blocked the secret attack from behind. Those who shot from tricky angles were the 2nd level derivative Taoist method of the Jiutian Qingwei entry mantra, called Shao Fu Shangyang Sword Key. When Qiu Chang's just shot the Jade Pivot Thunder, it flew out of his sleeve with the help of lightning, and attacked Nzisu in a roundabout way, but was blocked by her in an instant. Qiu Chang's manipulated the Tianyuan Yeki sword with his left hand, intending to continue chasing Nzisu to kill him. With his right hand, he was pinching the Dao formula, and was about to use the Chi Thunder to cover the entire field. Suddenly, he felt numb all over his body, and the cold feeling was like a sore on the bone, climbing up quickly along his calf. This was the 1st level of Daoism on the Hanlai sword, called Deep Ice Cover in Snow, which was used to freeze the enemy directly, stagnating the true essence, unable to move, and could only be slaughtered. Qiu Chang's was not in a hurry. He knew that it would take at least 5 breaths for the deep ice to cover the whole body, so he just took advantage of the cold walk to true essence before it reached the upper body, and the Dao formula in his hand changed, and he shot a Tisan Chuangji spirit talisman at his feet. As the 3rd level of Daoism of the 9 Heavens Qingwei entry mantra, the Tisan Chuangji spirit talisman has a strong ability to seal and suppress. As soon as he let go, it immediately took effect, completely eliminating the cold and numb feeling in his legs. Qiu Changtai raised his head, and saw the red blade of the Feian sword coming into view, about to pierce his head. Zisu had already calculated that the abyss of ice and snow could not trap him, and deliberately caught him at the moment when he used Taoism to escape, and launched a fatal attack with the Feian sword. At this time, the Tianyuan Yeki sword was still far away, chasing after Zisu, and it was absolutely impossible to pull it back to protect its master for a while. Qiu Changtai's other signature method, the Five Thunders Righteous method, was too close at this time. If he struck out with a divine thunder and repelled the Feian sword, he would definitely be affected and injured. All of this was calculated by Tianxin Jiangxin. What a pity, senior sister Anne, you don't know my trump card at all, but I can see you clearly. Qiu Changtai's expression was still calm and gentle, and his left hand had already raised up with the Taoist formula, and he played another Tiasan Xuanji talisman. 2 Xuanji talismans. Some Kunlun disciples who didn't understand screamed. They had heard of the suppressive power of the supreme Xuanji talisman, which was said to be able to suppress anything in its rank, but they also knew that the consumption of this talisman was extremely high. Most of the disciples under the Ziwei sect master would have to use up half of their true energy to rest for a while after each attack, but they did not expect that the great chief Qiu could actually cast 2 talismans at the same time. What's the big deal? However, many Kunlun disciples had seen Qiu Changtai and Zhu Yingyang compete before the Baiyuan competition, and they immediately boasted, "We have seen the chief cast 3 talismans at the same time, and he was far from reaching the limit of his true energy." On the Shushan side, Juanfanhai was dumbfounded and couldn't help saying, 3 Tiasan Xuanji talismans. Why don't you say that using this technique is as easy as eating and drinking water? In that case, why bother with the Baiyuan competition? Just give him the top spot. When he sees the enemy, he can just cast a talisman at him. What can we do about it? This sounds incredible, but it's true. Yuan Jinu said, the true energy of this chief Qiu was so powerful that it can even be compared with that of a Jindan cultivator. Is your source of information reliable? Lin Yulanzan asked in surprise. Yuan Jinu's mouth twitched, and he didn't answer. Fortunately, Lin Yulanzan soon realized that he had asked a stupid question. Yuan Jinu's cousin was a junior brother under Qiu Changtai, how could she not know? Qiu Changtai shot the supreme Xuanji spirit talisman at the Feian sword, and immediately suppressed most of Zisu's natal sword. Countless flames and flying smoke burst out from the sword. It was obvious that Zisu was struggling to activate the flying sword with all his strength, but it was difficult to escape the sealing effect of the spirit talisman. The next second, Qiu Changtai turned around urgently and saw that Zisu had killed him 3 steps in front of him at the high speed of the dividing cloud 8 diagrams step. Obviously, senior sister Anne found that her swordsmanship could not defeat him, and her true essence was not as abundant as his, so she gave up the plan to defeat him on the front battlefield and began to fight for her life. As long as the two are close, Qiu Changtai's thunder method could not be used, otherwise they would die together. Even because the distance was so short, there was little time to activate the Taoist method and magic weapon. The flying sword that was connected with the master's mind would gain a great advantage, and the natal sword was the best among them. Zisu grabbed the Feian sword, which was suppressed by the talisman and could not continue to fly, and stabbed it like an ancient assassin. With his left hand, he pointed the sword to the sky, and suddenly pulled back the Hanli sword on the other side, stabbing Qiu Changtai's body from the side. Qiu Changtai's reaction was also very fast. He stepped back to avoid Zisu's stab, and used his right hand to pinch the sword to recall the Tianyuan Yeki sword, and slashed against the Hanli sword that came from the side. With his left hand, he pinched the Dodojua, and the Xiao Fu Shangyang sword key flew out from his sleeve. When the Tianyuan Yeki sword and the Hanli sword fought, they suddenly deflected the sword body, causing the sun's reflection to shine directly into Zisu's eyes. Zisu was suddenly exposed to the strong light, and subconsciously wanted to close her eyes, but she used her will to force herself to hold on, and did not completely close her eyelids. She saw the sword light flashing in her peripheral vision. She quickly stepped sideways and tilted her head. The hairpin behind her head was knocked off by the Xiao Fu Shangyang sword key, and her smooth black hair like a waterfall fell down. The footwork did not stop, and with the momentum of the side step, he quickly turned around and closed the distance to within 2 steps. The Feian sword slashed at Qiu Changtai's waist and abdomen again. Qiu Changtai swung his right hand violently, quickly pulling the Tianyuan Yeki sword to him, and repelled the Feian sword slash. His left hand flicked and shot out another Tiasan Chuanji talisman, hitting the Hanlian sword that had lost its restraint and was about to attack him. The Hanlian sword trembled for a moment, and was soon completely sealed by the talisman, losing its ability to operate. But Nzisu had no time to take care of the Hanlian sword. She rushed forward again, and her left hand ejected the Minxia sword from her sleeve, infusing her whole body's true essence into it, and faced the attack of the Tianyuanyeki sword from the side. The rank difference between the Minxia sword and the Tianyuanyeki sword was too great, and it was impossible to block the opponent's slash, but Nzisu only wanted that moment of delay. Because the Feian sword in her hand could just take advantage of this moment to stack Qiu Changtime's chest. Within one step, even if the throat is sealed and blood is drawn, it only takes a moment. The tip of the sword has touched Qiu Changtime's Taoist robe on his chest, and was about to continue to pierce into his flesh, but Qiu Changtime stretched out his left hand like lightning, which was too late to pinch the Taoist formula, and clamped the tip of the Feian sword with 2 fingers. Nzisu was not distracted, and did not even have any waves in her heart about his seemingly ridiculous action. She just used all her strength to push the Feian sword forward fiercely. The next second, a violent electric current suddenly ran through her body. The Feian sword slipped from the spasmodic and uncontrolled fingertips, and Nzisu's body fell backwards, with a trace of confusion in her eyes. That, is it thunder magic? His thunder magic, how could it be transmitted through the flying sword and hit my body? What is that? In his mind, Kunlun Mirror, who had been anxiously watching the battle, saw that the outcome was finally settled, and asked hurriedly, "Why haven't I seen this spell of yours before?" "No, I seem to have seen it. It's the true spirit seal sword technique." Kingping Sword said lazily, "Have you forgotten, a Jin? When Wei Donlia wanted to subdue the 10,000 Ghosts evil sword, he learned this true spirit seal sword technique from me. It can project Taoism onto the flying sword. You could not imagine it, a Jin." Qiu Changtime also smiled slightly. "My trump cards are more than you can imagine. The true spirit seal sword technique is not a spell unique to Wei Donliu's character. Another character has also used it, but Chen Yonzhu was so complacent at this time that he probably forgot it. You can guess who has used it and in front of whom it was used." Chapter 467. The competition is over. The demon cult's hidden man, cunning, Qiu Changtime wins. As the Jade List judged Qiu Changtime as the winner, the surroundings were silent for a full 10 breaths, and then some kind of violent and noisy noise arose. It was not because everyone was dissatisfied with Kiyodashi's winning the top spot, but because the onlookers really didn't understand how Qiu Changtime defeated Nzisu in the end. In fact, as long as the cultivators were not too short-sighted, they could see that Nzisu had really tried his best in this decisive battle and exerted his advantages to the extreme. What is Qiu Changtime's advantage? His true essence is vigorous and his Taoism is powerful. Fighting a protracted war with him is a suicidal act. It's not that no Shushan cultivators know that the battle must be fought quickly, but everyone tried to kill Qiu Changtime at the beginning, and then they were directly beaten by him. From beginning to end, no Shushan cultivator's flying sword could gain the upper hand in the direct flying sword confrontation with Qiu Changtime. Only Nzisu made full use of the advantage of Shushan Sword Immortal's multitasking, and used the two-handed sword control technique plus the Cloud 8 trigrams step to force a thrilling situation of 3-line attack, and finally broke through to Qiu Changtime's close range and grabbed the opportunity to turn the tables. But he was killed in the last blow. What's more important is that no one can understand how he was killed. Who can be happy about this? Penglai monks can. After a while, the Penglai monks who were watching began to cheer one after another, and everyone was very excited. Kunlun was still whispering, not because they were maintaining the reserved character of the disciples of the big sect, but because they were not sure whether Nzisu was really defeated by the Chief Qiu. What if Nzisu was actually poisoned, sick, possessed, and saw through the world and admitted defeat? Now they started shouting Chief Qiu, invincible, and later found out that Nzisu had an accident. Wouldn't it bring bad luck to Chief Qiu? The Shushan people were also talking to each other, but everyone was obviously not in a good mood, and many of them even felt a bit like they had lost their parents. The chief of Kunlun defeated the chief of Shushan. In the eyes of the outside world, doesn't it prove that Shushan is not as good as Kunlun? This is the first. The Sword Fairy was about to succeed in the assassination, so how did he suddenly turn victory into defeat? I don't understand it at all. This is the second. The Kunlun disciples just insulted Shushan, and the Shushan people almost had a conflict with them. Then Qiu Changtime took the first place. Isn't that a slap in everyone's face? This is the most important third. Because of being slapped in the face, the Shushan monks didn't want to stay here, so they flew away from the Bayujing secret realm. Mzesu, who took the second place, seemed to be a criminal of the sect and no one cared about him. After being reborn by the secret realm mechanism, he stood there in disappointment, with a mixed look on his face, and I don't know what he was thinking. Senior sister Ling Yunpo, who had planned it in advance, immediately rushed over, held Mzesu's arm, and asked with concern, "Senior sister, are you okay?" "It's okay." Mzesu shook her head and looked at him with a complicated look. "Let's go back." Ling Yunpo. Somehow, although senior sister seemed normal now, she gave him a weird feeling. It was like Xiaolan in Detective Conan, who stared at Conan and smiled. Although she didn't say it, her expression was basically Shinaki, "I recognized you," which made people feel chilled. Wait, did I reveal any flaws? Let's not talk about how Ling Yunpo in the future line should deal with it at this time. In short, although the audience didn't understand it, Qiu Changtian finally won the first place in Baiyujing. After he calmly left the stage, Kunlun's Miafa's went to the square and slapped the jade list, and the ranking of this Baiyujing competition appeared on it. The top 12 of Baiyujing, from 1st to 12, are Qiu Changtian, Mzesu, Ling Yunpo, Zhu Yinlian, Luo Yan, Yuan Chinyu, Juanfen Hegai, Lin Yuanzhen, Guanzhen, Bishan, Yanzichui, and Xie Luoli. Half of the top 12 are from Shushan, and 3 of them are in the top 6, which shows that Shushan is still the main force of the Orthodox battle. However, among the top 3 of the so-called super quality, Qiu Changtian is the leader. The high quality is the 4th to 6th, and Zhu Yinlian is the best again. It gives people the feeling that although the young cultivators of Kunlun's generation are not as strong as Shushan in terms of overall combat power, their high-end combat power is much better than Shushan. As for Penglai, they came here to make up the numbers, and the important thing is to participate, so there is no need to talk about it. In short, the results of this righteous competition have all met the expectations of the 3 factions. Kunlun will take the top spot, Shushan will take half, and Penglai will be considered successful as long as it crosses the finish line. Everyone is very satisfied with this result. As for Mzesu missing the top spot in the end, that was the fault of the sword immortal mowing the grass, and it does not affect the reputation of Shushan. Half of the top 12 are from Shushan. Without further ado, with the official end of the Orthodox competition, the Baiyujing secret realm was also closed. Most of the Orthodox disciples are still staying in Tianmu Mountain, visiting each other, making friends, and discussing the results of this competition. As for collective return to the sect residence, we have to wait until 3 days later. This is the time specially reserved for the 3 sects for the young heroes to communicate. As the top of the competition, Qiu Changtian's residence is almost full of guests. There is an endless stream of people coming to visit, which makes this chief of the righteous path exhausted and numb. Fortunately, the arrival of Ziwi's sect master quickly rescued him from the sea of suffering. Qiu Changtian, Zhu Yinlian, Guanzhen, Yanzichui. He pointed out the 4 disciples who made it to the top 12, waved his whisk, and said calmly, "Come with me." The 4 followed the Ziwi sect leader and returned to the entrance of the Baiyujing secret realm. The Yujing sect leader led Ling Yunpo, Mzesu and 6 other Shushan people, and the Xuandu sect leader led Luo Yan and Xie Luoli, who were already waiting at the entrance. The Xuandu sect leader took out a thunder bead and threw it at the rock at the entrance, and the rock broke again, revealing the water curtain-like secret door. You are the top 12 people in the Baiyujing competition. After entering the secret realm, stand in the 12 pavilions according to the order of the competition. The Ziwi sect leader instructed, after standing, any unusual movements in the secret realm must be carefully recorded, and you can tell the sect after you come out. Disciples have received the order. Qiu Changtian took the lead. Afterwards, everyone entered the Baiyujing secret realm one after another according to the ranking order of the competition. The demon sect did not make any unusual moves this time. When all 12 people entered the secret realm, the head of Yujing suddenly said, "Other sects don't mention it, but the Heldo can't just sit there and watch." The head of Xuandu also said calmly, "Even if they don't take action, with their style, they will definitely come in and take a peek at the secrets of the Baiyujing secret realm. Among the 12 people, there must be a hidden man from the Heldo." The head of Ziwi said leisurely, "It's impossible for them to be from Penglai." The head of Xuandu said slowly, "I can confirm that Luo and she had nothing to do with the Heldo. It's impossible for them to be from Shushan either." The head of Yujing also said in a deep voice, "The immortals have personally seen these 6 disciples." The head of Ziwi was silent. "If they are not from Penglai or Shushan, could they be from Kunlun? Ridiculous." When can the hidden man of the Helder be identified by the head of the sect and the immortals in advance? Chapter 468. Wonderful Sanskrit chanting, preparation for the tribulation. Qiu Chang'an and the others entered by Yuzhing, and saw pavilions and towers in the distance, suspended in the clouds, with glazed tiles and white jade railings, showing the style of immortals. Because they were unfamiliar with each other and had a mission to fulfill, they did not chat too much, but quickly flew their swords to the pavilions that matched their rankings. Qiu Chang'an was the first, so he came to Pavilion No. 1, which was closest to Yuzhing Square, and entered it. After the 12 people stood still, they suddenly heard the sound of evening drums and morning bells in the distance, like the sound of Sanskrit, which was deafening. There was a male voice and a female voice singing at the same time. Xuanyi shakes the sleeps of clouds, flying in the sky and enjoying the endless night. Walking high in the seven treasures forest, the long and carefree heavenly road. The distant Yuzhing mounting, the Kongte shines on the flying beams. Looking up at the golden palace, looking down at the white jade bed. There is Wang Lajin, the purple Guo Tianzing. Sitting at the banquet holding the life book, the green pen records Wang. 10,000 calamities are long and endless, transcending the immortal land. Although everyone could not understand it, they could vaguely perceive that it should be some kind of Taoist ritual chanting, and hurriedly wrote it down carefully, not daring to miss a word. Only Qiu Chang'an and Zisu knew more. The two found that the male voice and the female voice were the Sun Sword Master and the Moon Sword Master who met at the last level when they first explored the Yuzhing secret realm. After the hymn was sung, the morning bells and evening drums also subsided, as if nothing had happened. Everyone waited patiently for a moment again, and after confirming that there were no more clues, they reunited at the Yuzhing Square and then left the secret realm collectively. Outside the secret realm, after listening to everyone recite the entire chapter of the eulogy and confirming that their memories matched each other without omission, the three masters began to ponder. The distant Yuzhing mounting. Yuzhing master whispered. His Taoist name was Yuzhing, and in Taoism, Yuzhing was believed to be the place where immortals lived. And this so-called Yuzhing mountain seemed to be the location of the Golden Palace secret realm. Looking up at the Golden Palace, Ziwei master said thoughtfully. Looking up means looking at a very high place. The free and easy heavenly path is long. Xuandu master said with a smile. The heavenly path also means the vast sky. In other words, the entrance to the Golden Palace secret realm is at a very high place called Yuzhing mounting, and it can only be reached by flying means such as flying swords. The three masters looked at each other for a moment and came to a common conclusion. As for the 12 disciples, some were confused and some had vague guesses. The three masters warned the disciples not to leave these sentences, and then led everyone back to the base. 3 days later, each sect returned. Qiu Chang'an brought Zhu Yingyan and other fellow disciples back to Kunlin. Without resting in the cave for a while, he went directly to visit King Yanxing and Zhu Changqing. Oh, you also have to start preparing for the formation of the pill. True man King Yan has now recovered from the injuries of the heavenly tribulation. Upon hearing this, he said seriously, to deal with the pill formation tribulation, you can prepare more flying swords, magic weapons, and formations. Among them, the formation is the best. After all, as long as it is arranged in advance, its ability to weaken the heavenly tribulation far exceeds that of flying swords and magic weapons. When it comes to formations, the Tiangong Fang of Yu Qinggan and Penglai is the best, but I don't recommend you to ask Penglai for help. Do you understand? Qiu Chang'an pondered for a moment and replied. For those who transcend the tribulation, it is a matter of life and death, and you cannot rely on the hands of others. That's right. True man King Yang said approvingly, you have never had much contact with the Tiangong Fang. Why are you so sure that they will do their best for your tribulation? Whether you develop it yourself or ask for help, you don't ask for the formation to be perfect, but you must minimize the risk factors. In addition to the formation, the second choice is the magic weapon. Magic weapons and flying swords can help you resist the heavenly tribulation, but it also depends on their rank. If you have formed a 3rd grade golden elixir, then the magic weapons below the 10th rank are all disposable and can't last long under the heavenly tribulation. However, this does not mean that you don't need magic weapons below the 10th rank. On the contrary, if possible, you should still prepare more on you. Even if a flying sword can only block one thunderbolt for you, it is good. Who knows if the thunderbolt will be the final key to determine your life or death. I see. Qiu Chang'an nodded seriously. After talking about formations and magic weapons, let's talk about Taoism. True man King Yan talked slowly. In dealing with heavenly tribulations, Taoism is more efficient than magic weapons, but there is a major flaw in it. Do you know what it is? True essence consumption. Qiu Chang Time guessed. That's right. True Man King Yang sighed and said, using magic tools to resist the heavenly tribulation consumes resources. Using Taoism to resist the heavenly tribulation consumes true essence. Resources can be prepared in advance, but true essence can only be restored over time. The heavenly tribulation will not give you time to breathe. The more you use your Taoism, the closer your true essence will be to exhaustion, and the smaller your hope of surviving the heavenly tribulation will be. Brother King Yang. Qiu Chang Time asked puzzledly, can't I take pills? This is what I will tell you later. True Man King Yang said with a wry smile, you were there when I was undergoing the tribulation. The thunderbolts came one after another, so how could I have the time to take pills? Even if you really managed to find time and swallow a pill into your stomach, where would you find that time to refine the medicinal power? All your mind is focused on racing against time with the heavenly tribulation, and you have no time to breathe. To put it bluntly, once the heavenly tribulation comes, the only thing you can do is to keep resisting the thunderbolts and survive the tribulation. Other than that, don't think about anything else. Thank you, brother, for clearing up my doubts. Qiu Chang Time said gratefully. No problem. True Man King Yang said with a smile, your Jade Palace has already been completed. If you can successfully form a golden elixir, you will be the backbone of our Kunlin. Therefore, I hope you will be fully prepared and not rush for success and rush through the tribulation. Junior brother, do you understand? Junior brother understands. Qiu Chang Time said in a low voice. Also, go see Master. True Man King Yang pondered for a moment, and then said, if you want to pass the tribulation, even if I don't tell others, you'll definitely not be able to hide it from him. Moreover, Master can definitely help you more than me in passing the tribulation of condensing the elixir. Qiu Chang Time hesitated when he heard it. According to his original intention, he didn't want to tell the headmaster Ziwei. Because if the headmaster asked what grade of golden elixir he had formed, he was afraid of scaring the master if he said it was the first grade. If he lied and said it was the second grade, he was afraid that the headmaster Ziwei would see through it. In addition, if there were any special circumstances in the future, and the headmaster Ziwei knew that Ling Yunpo and Luoyan also had the first grade of golden elixir, he would be even more suspicious. But what Zhu Chang King said was not without reason. After all, the master is the master. It is not right to hide such a major event as overcoming the condensation pill tribulation from him. Moreover, he is not sure about the first grade golden pill tribulation. If he can get some method from the Ziwei sect master to help him overcome the tribulation, wouldn't it be better than groping for it by himself? After weighing the pros and cons, this risk is worth taking. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Mundo Fanfic Novelers, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelers. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 469. The deep affection between master and disciple, touching each other. Kunlun Tianzu, Yaxu Palace. Qiu Chang Time walked quickly in the corridor, and from time to time he met some Jindan-level real people. Whether it was the 3 pure ones of the Orthodox sect or the 6 parts of the demon sect, Jindan real people were the main force in the sect, and no matter how powerful the disciples of the Foundation establishment realm were, they were just junior disciples in front of Jindan real people. In normal times, the real people basically just nodded to him to say hello. After all, Qiu Chang Time was the chief of the Foundation establishment realm, and he had broken the Jiao sword formation single-handedly, and indirectly saved many Kunlun real people trapped in the formation. Therefore, even if he was not familiar with Qiu Chang Time, he still had to give him this face. However, since he won the top spot in the Baiyuzhen competition, Kunlun real people's attitude towards Qiu Chang Time has become enthusiastic at a speed visible to the naked eye. The reason is nothing else. Because Qiu Chang Time showed enough strength. Everyone came from the Foundation establishment realm, and they have all experienced 100 years of long preparations for the formation of Dan, so they naturally know what the strength of the disciples of the Foundation establishment realm is generally. In fact, as long as they have watched Qiu Chang Time's competition, most of the Kunlun true immortals can be sure that this Chief Qiu has probably had more than 400 years of cultivation, which means he has reached the threshold of the 2nd grade golden elixir. 2nd grade golden elixir. You know, even in the history of the entire cultivation world, there are only a dozen or so recorded cultivators who have achieved the 2nd grade golden elixir. As for the first grade golden elixir, since it takes more than 800 years, and even the purple mansion secret medicines known by many true immortals, the total time is far less than 800 years, so everyone agrees that Kyo Chain Time will soon form an elixir. Since he will soon become a true immortal, it is natural to make friends with him and cultivate feelings in advance. Of course, Kyo Chain Time could not fail to understand the minds of these true immortals, so he responded politely and humbly one by one. He was also very skilled in winning people's hearts, which made the Kunlun true immortals feel good. Finally arriving at the lecture room of Ziwili sect master, Kyo Chain Time knocked on the door and entered, only to see that the sect master was still sitting on the 9-colored lotus platform, closing his eyes to rest. Master, Kyo Chain Time said respectfully, you did well in this Biujing competition. The head of Ziwili sect did not open his eyes, but said leisurely, this is the reward given to you after discussion in the sect. Kyo Chain Time looked carefully and saw 3 cushions on the ground. From left to right, there was a pill bottle, a jade slip, and a whisk on the cushions. This pill is the golden juice jade liquid pill. Ziwili sect leader pointed to the first pill bottle and said slowly, taking it can increase your cultivation by 70 years. This jade slip is the sub-volume of the true words of entering the 9 heavens Kingway, the secret scripture of the blue and red key. His whisk turned gently and pointed to the second jade slip. It contains many Taoist magic methods, with infinite uses. Finally, Ziwili sect leader waved the whisk, placed it in the crook of his arm, and said lightly, the whisk is called Bixia Jiangxin, which is a magic weapon used by ancient great powers. It has supreme power when driven by Taoist true essence. Kyo Chain Time listened carefully and asked, Master, is the reward for this Biujing competition 3 or 1? Of course it's 1. Ziwili sect leader had no expression on his face. In other words, it's a choice of 3. Kyo Chain Time looked carefully at the objects placed on the 3 cushions and asked again, is the golden juice jade liquid pill made of red grass? Yes. Ziwili sect leader opened his eyes in surprise. Since he could accurately name the raw materials, could this disciple have already taken the golden juice jade liquid pill? In this case, he couldn't choose the purple mansion secret medicine. Kyo Chain Time was not frustrated, because his Wafu cultivation was already perfect, and it was useless to get the purple mansion secret medicine. He might as well consider other rewards. The secret scripture of the blue and red key, as the magic supplement of the true words of the 9 heavens Kingway realm, made him very excited. Anyway, his true essence was extremely abundant now, and it would be good to learn more Taoist methods to increase his combat power. However, Kyo Chain Time did not forget what the current priority was. Master, he asked seriously, excuse me, can this Bixia Jiangxin whisk withstand the power of the heavenly tribulation? Ziwili sect master was silent for a moment, and said, this whisk is similar to your immortal sword. The more powerful the true essence is, the greater the power it can stimulate. Oh. Kyo Chain Time understood immediately. The more powerful the true essence is, the greater the power it can stimulate, which means that this thing is a big consumer of true essence. In normal battles, I certainly wouldn't be afraid of the consumption of that little bit of true essence, but now I have to survive the heavenly tribulation, and I have to use up 120,000 points of my energy to deal with it. Even the slightest bit of true essence has to be saved. How can I take a magic weapon that consumes true essence like crazy? Besides, holding a whisk really doesn't suit my style, so it seems that I can only choose the secret scripture of the blue and red key, but the Taoist methods in this secret scripture will also consume true essence. What I need most at this time is actually a magic weapon that can save true essence and deal with the heavenly tribulation. Kyo Chain Time was pondering here, and the head of Ziwili saw through his thoughts and asked, how many years have you been practicing in the Wafu now? Just waiting for the formation of the elixir. Kyo Chain Time said ambiguously. So, what you need is something to deal with the heavenly tribulation. The head of Ziwili sect immediately understood that none of the 3 rewards met his needs. The second grade golden elixir, the power of the heavenly tribulation, is very terrifying. Fortunately, you are clear-minded and not afraid of the devil from outer space, so you only need to concentrate on dealing with the thunder. For that upgrade golden elixir, the thunder is mostly the 5-element thunder. Among them, the Yang tribulation is the most fierce, followed by the Yin tribulation. Gold and fire are the most terrifying, followed by water and earth, and wood is the third. If you want to prepare in advance, it is best to give priority to dealing with the Jengjin and Binyo thunder. Disciple, I will teach you. Kyo Chain Time agreed seriously. The five-element thunder is the most terrifying of all the heavenly tribulations. After all, the yin and yang tribulations only exist in legends, but it is ultimately not out of the five elements, and it will inevitably be restrained by the acquired five-element extinction divine light. But the problem is that the acquired five-element extinction divine light is also a big consumer of true essence consumption. No, to be more precise, it is a huge consumer. If he had not practiced the nine heavens Pure Land Realm mantra, and had not cultivated for more than 800 years, he would not have been able to use this method as a means of combat. If he activated the method and it withered in less than half a second, how could he fight? Unless he encountered something terrifying that could not be stopped in the heavenly tribulation, he could use the five elements divine light to block it. But if it was used as a conventional means, it would be a pipe dream. Seeing Qiu Chang's Iron frowning, the head of Ziwei sect slowly said, "Your strength is all in the Taoism and flying sword. The Taoism itself consumes a lot of energy, and the Tianyuan Yeki sword also requires a lot of true energy to support it. In the process of overcoming the tribulation, these are your burdens. For now, we should find a formation or magic weapon to help, so that there will be a turnaround." In terms of formation, Elder Shiding of Penglai Tiangong specializes in the most. I am familiar with him, and I am going to ask for a favor this time. You don't have to worry about this. Qiu Chang's Iron was shocked when he heard this, and was immediately moved. You know, as the head of a sect, what does Ziwei want? How precious are his favors? However, this master is willing to ask for favors from Elder Shiding for his disciple. To put it nicely, it's asking for a favor. To put it bluntly, it's begging someone. No need, really no need. Master, in fact, I know Elder Shiding better than you do. I have already inherited his formation. I will take care of his daughter in the future. Even his Tiangong workshop will be inherited by me in the future. Of course, Qiu Chang's Iron couldn't say this directly to Ziwei headmaster. He just pretended to be distressed and whispered, "Master, I once got an ancient formation during an exploration of a secret realm." Ziwei headmaster looked at him in surprise, and was suddenly touched. What ancient formation can be comparable to the formation designed by Elder Shiding? This kind child doesn't want me to ask others for help. Chapter 470. Kunlun takes treasure and goes to Shushan again. Since you don't want a formation, I will find you another magic weapon. Master Ziwei said in a deep voice. Among the five elements of thunder, the thunder of Zhengjin and Bino is the most fierce. According to the theory of mutual generation and mutual restraint of the five elements, water magic weapons should be used to deal with it. In Kunlun Dividing Treasure Rock, there is an object called Yunlang Frost Ice Pot, which contains a large amount of Yunlang Frost Ice, which can restrain the thunder of gold and fire, and only consumes the ice in it when it is activated, and does not require too much true energy. But this magic weapon is useless to you in the future, so as the master, I will ask the immortal to lend it to you temporarily and return it after you pass the tribulation. If this object has not been damaged by the heavenly tribulation, after you return it to Dividing Treasure Rock, you can still choose one of the Baiyushing rewards. If it is unfortunately damaged, then it will be offset with the reward. How about it? Qiu Chang's Iron was silent for a moment, took a half step back, and bowed to the ground. Master, I am very grateful to you. No need to be polite. Ziwei sect master waved his whisk, and he felt his knees were rusty and couldn't bow down at all. If you're really grateful, just pass this second great heavenly tribulation well, which will be the greatest contribution to the master and Kunlun Tai King sect. Qiu Chang's Iron. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to cry. I feel like a real bastard. I wish I could dig a hole and bury myself in it. It took a long time, about 4 or 5 seconds, for Qiu Chang's Iron to restrain his endless emotions in the depths of his heart and bow to Ziwei sect master again. After leaving Yuxu Palace, he went to Fenbahu Rock. Similar to Shushanyuan Cave, Fenbahu Rock is the place where Kunlun hides treasures, and the entrance location and entry method are all confidential, and there is no way to know it. Qiu Chang's Iron conveyed Ziwei sect master's message, and after Elder Jie, who was guarding Fenbahu Rock, confirmed it, he turned and entered the inner hall of Fenbahu Rock. After about an incense stick of time, Elder Jie took out an elegant jade pot. This is the Yunlang Frost Ice Pot. Elder Jie said, you only need to use your true essence to release a large amount of Yunlang Frost Ice from it to resist the enemy's attack. Even if it is a Immortal Cultivator, it will cost a lot to break the defense of this thing. But you need to remember that although this magic weapon does not use much true essence, the Yunlang Frost Ice in it is not infinite. Every time it is used up, it must be placed on the top of Yanra Mountain in Mobile for 30 years to replenish the frost ice. Qiu Changtai knew that Elder Ji was warning him not to waste it, so he agreed solemnly. I didn't expect that this Yunlang Frost Ice Pot, with such a high rank, could actually resist the attack of the Yuning level. It's also a good thing that it only consumes Yunlang Frost Ice and does not consume True Essence to activate this thing. Otherwise, with its rank, it is likely to be a big consumer of True Essence. But what the master said is also right, this thing has a limited number of uses. It's okay to deal with the Heavenly Tribulation temporarily, but it's not suitable as a magic weapon to carry with you for a long time. Thinking of this, Qiu Changtai was once again sincerely grateful to the Ziwi sect master for his promise that you can exchange this item for other rewards after you pass the tribulation. Jing. He said in his heart, read the file and go to Ling Yunpo, go to the sect to receive the award. Ling Yunpo, according to what has happened in history, watched the final between Qiu Changtai and Anzisu. After senior sister lost, he ran down to comfort her diligently. Then he found that senior sister An's gaze seemed a little strange. Could it be that she recognized me? Ling Yunpo wanted to explain, but senior sister didn't say anything, just smiled and said, the competition is over, let's go back. In this way, what Ling Yunpo originally wanted to say was naturally blocked in his throat. He couldn't say, senior sister, your eyes seem to doubt me, let me explain to you, in fact, I'm not, that would really be a case of trying to cover up one's own faults. The two returned to the Shushan station in Tianmu Mountain. In the past few days, many cultivators have come to visit and try to make friends with Ling Yunpo and Anzisu. After all, they are the second and third on the list, so it is always right to get to know each other. Ling Yunpo responded politely. Of course, due to his unyielding personality, he could not use Qiu Changtai's way of talking, which made people feel like spring breeze. He could only pretend to be an honest and upright boy. Fortunately, such a personality seems to be in line with everyone's perception of Shushan's rough man, so there was no discord. Sisterin was not so good. Because from childhood to adulthood, Su Jian never taught her the smooth means of dealing with people, it is still a question whether Su Jian himself can do it, so Sisterin did not know what to say on what occasions, and often spoke frankly and said whatever she thought, which made people speechless. Ling Yunpo gave her an idea. First, keep smiling throughout the whole process and don't speak. Secondly, when the other party asked any questions, she would nod and say Then, Ling Yunpo answered for her. Finally, after answering, senior sister smiled and said, indeed. Relying on this set of 4-hit tactics, she was able to successfully deal with most of the cultivators' chats, which made Ling Yunpo sigh that he was really a clever ghost. But Anzisu nodded and said, indeed, but when she looked at Ling Yunpo, she was still confused and suspicious. What is the relationship between junior brother and Qiu Changtai? It's strange to say, if you think about it carefully, what relationship can there be? It's nothing more than using the same magic. However, what lingered in Anzisu's heart for a long time was a strange sense of disharmony. I remember that junior brother had given her this sense of disharmony before, as if a familiar relative suddenly became a different person, and when Qiu Changtai defeated her, he also gave her the same sense of disharmony, which made her connect Qiu Changtai with her junior brother. In any case, this is indeed just a feeling, and there is no evidence to prove anything. Therefore, Anzisu just buried it in his heart and did not mention it for the time being, or if he recalled it sometime, it would require a second similar opportunity. 3 days later, everyone in Shushan flew on their swords and returned to Bashu along the Yangtze River. Anzisu, Ling Yunpo and the other 6 were taken to the ancestral hall by the head of Yujing. After offering sacrifices to their ancestors, they were praised in public. The sect's reward was to go to the 3rd floor of the Yuan cave and choose a treasure to take away. Ling Yunpo was secretly happy when he heard it, thinking that he encountered the Purple Mansion Thunder fragments and the Sun True Yang Fire in the 3rd floor last time, but he had to take the Purple Mansion Secret Medicine Jin Mercury Dahua liquid first. Isn't this a good time to make up for it? Wait, no. The most urgent thing now is to survive the Heavenly Tribulation. The Purple Mansion Thunder is the 7th of the 10 thunders. He has already mastered the first 6 thunders, and adding this 7th thunder will not be of much help in surviving the tribulation. The Sun's True Yang Fire can be considered. If it is refined into the acquired 5 elements Great Extinction Divine Light, the fire-type red light in it can be transformed from acquired to innate. Considering that among the 5 elements Tribulation Thunder, the most difficult one is the Bing Fire Divine Thunder. If you have the innate fire-type red light in hand, you will be able to deal with it more easily. In addition, you need to find another magic weapon from the 3rd level of the Fire Element Cave to use as a means to deal with the Heavenly Tribulation. Well, thanks to my wit, I was able to borrow things from Kumlan first and then go to Shushan to get treasures. If it were other cultivators, how could they have so many resources to deal with the heavenly tribulation? The sect cannot provide you with unlimited support. If you still can't survive the heavenly tribulation, I will smash our Jing. Huh? Kumlan Mirror asked in confusion, why are you going to smash me? If I fall under the heavenly calamity, there will be no one to save this world, and it is doomed to perish. Ling Yun broke into a laugh. Jin, you failed to help me survive the heavenly calamity, and the world unfortunately perished. Who else should I smash if not you? Kumlan Mirror was stunned. Chapter 471 Penglai Reward. What the hell? In the Yuan cave, Ling Yunpo's sword-light swirled, quickly passing through the caves. In each cave, there was a rare treasure placed in it, emitting a faint mysterious light. I still remember that the last time I came here, Ling Yunpo was almost dazzled and wanted to sweep away all the treasures. However, the current Ling Yunpo is no longer the countryman Ling Yunpo, but the Ling Yunpo who has fully seen the world. He doesn't even want to look at ordinary magic weapons, okay? The first thing he skipped was the flying sword. Now Ling Yunpo has 3 swords. His natal sword is the Kingping sword, which is definitely impossible to change. The second-hand sword, the Leiki sword, is the Menvinanka, and it can also restrain the heavenly tribulation and gold and iron objects, so there is no need to change it. The second-hand sword is the Wonshu sword, which is flexible and can separate the sword energy, so Ling Yunpo does not plan to change it. In this way, unless you encounter a top-grade 11th level immortal sword like the Tianyuan Leiki sword, there is no need to waste an opportunity. The next thing is the Taoist scriptures and the Purple Mansion secret medicine, skip them all. What I need now is a magic weapon. Passing by the sun's true yang fire, Ling Yunpo ignored it without hesitation. After all, there are only 2 chances. If there is a better magic weapon to block the heavenly tribulation, the sun's true yang fire can also be given up. When passing by the magic weapon, there is no need for Ling Yunpo to remind him. After scanning, the Kumlan Mirror directly commented, the Ice Soul Divine Pearl can be activated by the true essence to release the Ice Soul Divine Light, which can restrain most of the fire, poison and flames. But this thing consumes a lot of true essence, and its function overlaps with your Yunlam Shuang Ice Pot. Then don't do it. Ling Yunpo said coldly. How about the magic weapon just now? Kingping Sword said with a smile, the bottle of sweet rain dew, drinking it can restore the true essence and regenerate flesh and bones. No need. Ling Yunpo sighed and said, although the sweet rain dew can be refined faster, it still needs to be refined. I don't think the heavenly tribulation will give me the time. He turned from the top cave to the bottom cave, and emphasized again to Kumlan Mirror and Kingping Sword. What I am looking for this time are magic weapons with fast activation speed and low true essence consumption, preferably high-level magic weapons that can attack or defend on a large scale. Is there a possibility that the magic weapon you described is actually Zhu Yinlian? Kumlan Mirror said jokingly. Are you sick, Jin? Ling Yunpo said speechlessly, you can't let others interfere when you're undergoing the tribulation, otherwise you will be affected by cause and effect. Of course I know. Kumlan Jing said aggrievedly, I was just joking. Ling Yunpo laughed a few times with an expressionless face. Ha ha ha, you are so humorous. In short, the problem now is that the magic weapons that meet the above requirements are basically not of high rank. High-ranking magic weapons do not meet the above requirements. Of course. Kingping Sword replied, you are now on the 3rd level of the Yuan Cave, and the magic weapons here are all suitable for what full-level cultivators. And the first-grade golden elixir tribulation you are going to endure, its power far exceeds the defensive capabilities of what full-level magic weapons. You said that these magic weapons are not of high rank, it's just that there are very few that are suitable for you in this level of the Yuan Cave. Indeed. Ling Yunpo nodded and said, if it really doesn't work, I'll just take the remaining scrolls of thunder magic, After visiting the last few caves, Ling Yunpo suddenly stopped. There was a hammer in the cave. I didn't seem to have seen it last time. The hammer looked plain and simple. It could be described as dung, big, grey and rough. However, there was a row of immortal characters engraved on the hammer. Ling Yunpo recognized these characters, to be more precise, Qiu Changtian recognized them. They were printed on the atlas of the middle volume of the Five Thunders Orthodox method. If I remember correctly, Qiu Changtian also got a similar awl from the treasure house of the Queen Mother of the West. The hammer and the awl were engraved with the same immortal characters, and even the arrangement was highly similar, both were arranged vertically. Could these two be a pair? According to Taoists of the Shang Lei school, this orb is a magic weapon for learning the 8th thunder method take Lei. Since it is a thunder magic weapon, does it have any effect on the thunder of the first grade pill tribulation? A Jin, I'm asking you. Ling Yunpo urged. This, Kumlin Jing said hesitantly, I think it should be of some use. The immortal seal engraved on it means lightning and thunder. If it is used with the thunder god cone, it may have some effect on the thunder. I see. Ling Yunpo said proudly, then I will choose it. Taking out the thunder god hammer quickly, Ling Yunpo went back to get the great sun Shu Yang fire, and then returned to the immortal of the entrance of the fire source cave. At this time, the time of 1 stick of incense was about to pass, and the others had already chosen their rewards. Seeing Ling Yunpo return last, Zisu smiled softly and came over to hold his arm. The group left the fire source cave under the leadership of Shushan Immortal, and then went back to their respective peaks. Back at King Luo Peak, Ling Yunpo knew that Senior Sisterin had chosen 2 kinds of Purple Palace secret medicines this time, which could add 100 years of Watfu cultivation. This is very good. If Senior Sister can really reach the 2nd grade golden elixir, I will be worthy at master. After sending Senior Sister into the secret room to refine the secret medicine of the Purple Mansion, Ling Yunpo said in a deep voice, a Jin, teleport to Penglai. At this time, the Baiyusheng competition had not yet ended, and Luo Yan was still pretending to be sick, accepting the care of Mishi with peace of mind. Then it was the finals of the competition. Qiu Cheng Time won the first place, and the ranking of the top 12 in Baiyusheng was determined. Everyone went to the secret realm to listen to the concert, and recited the lyrics to the masters after singing. Back at Yu King Temple, Luo Yan and Shilili did not receive the warm welcome they imagined. Although everyone was very confident and knew that it was good for our Penglai to win to the top 12 in Baiyusheng, after all, it was so far behind Kunlun Shushan. At this time, it was not good to receive too grandly, so as not to make the allies laugh. The master of Kshandu just gave a general introduction to the achievements of the 2 to the elders who did not go to the Baiyusheng secret realm. Elder Shiding laughed, as if his apprentice and daughter had not only entered the top 12, but also won the first place in Baiyusheng, although in a sense, it was not wrong. After Master Kshandu finished speaking, the elders began to flatter him. Elder Shiding was hypocritically humble, but his expression was very proud. After a few days, Elder Shiding called Luo Yan over, took out a jade slip from his sleeve solemnly, and said, Luo Yan, the rank of the key refining technique in our Tiangong workshop is too low, which will not be conducive to your future improvement in cultivation. The temple has taken this into consideration, so we went to Kunlun specially to obtain the key refining technique King Yorozishu for you as your reward for this Baiyusheng competition. Although the rank of this King Yorozishu is definitely not as good as the Jiutian King Weirujin's Hinyan, it is also considered to be extremely excellent in key refining techniques. Take it and study it carefully. If you don't understand anything, just ask your master. Luo Yan. Thank you, master. Although his heart was filled with tears, he still pretended to be surprised and grateful, and said, by the way, I don't understand something about the formation, and I want to ask you, master. The reward for the Baiyusheng competition was embezzled by you, and you must help me with the matter of the formation for the tribulation. Next chapter. Tribulation Chapter 472. Overcoming the heavenly tribulation. After consulting and discussing with Elder Shidin, the formation to deal with the heavenly tribulation was determined to be the 9-bend Yellow River formation. Although as the inheritor of Tiangong Fang, Luo Yan has learned various Taoist methods, in terms of defense and enemy trapping capabilities, there is really nothing that can compare to the former Jiri Jiaofia's formation, the 9-bend Yellow River. In addition, the place where Long Long chose to cross the tribulation is above the East China Sea in the East Empire realm, which is more conducive to the 9-bend Yellow River formation. As they chatted, Elder Shiding also realized that Luo Yan seemed to be very concerned about the formation to deal with large-scale attacks. Is my apprentice going to cross the heavenly tribulation? Elder Shiding thought carefully and found that Luo Yan was not the same as other apprentices. He didn't like to stay in Tiangong Fan to do academic research, but often went out to seek adventures. To be precise, he was often taken out to play by his daughter. I remember that the last time the 2 of them were almost trapped in Quansan Mountain. So he found enough Purple Mansion secret medicine in the secret realm outside. The accumulated cultivation of the Watfu has been 200 years. To be honest, although he is Luo Yan's master, Elder Shiding usually only cares about his attainments in formations and the progress of his relationship with his daughter. He has no idea about the cultivation level of this apprentice and his combat strength. Thinking of this, Elder Shiding felt a little ashamed. In order to maintain the dignity of the teacher, he was embarrassed to ask Luo Yan directly, but waited for him to say goodbye and leave, and then quietly went to find his daughter Shiluli. My Wafu cultivation? Shiluli was stunned for a moment, then he quickly calculated, Father, the first purple mansion secret medicine I took was the golden mercury pill, which is equivalent to 60 years of Wafu cultivation. Then I went to the 5 Kuyuan cave with my junior brother and absorbed the Kuyuan spiritual energy, which is equivalent to 50 years of cultivation. Then in the Li ancient treasure house, I took the petals of the Ochai golden lotus with my junior brother, which is 30 years of cultivation. The last one should be the Jusu Idan before the Biujing competition, which is 30 years of cultivation. Totaling it as 170 years of cultivation. Oh. Elder Shiding stroked his beard and had an idea in his mind. Shiluli has been 170 years, and Luo Yan is obviously about the same. After all, they have experienced all these together. There are still 30 years, maybe even shorter, to reach the 200-year threshold of the upper great golden elixir. It is also normal for him to ask about the matter of overcoming the heavenly tribulation in advance. However, Luo Yan has only been a disciple of Tiangong Fan for 20 years. Counting the time he entered the Wafu level and the remaining lifespan, he still has at least 150 years to practice. Go to the various secret realms and ask for help from the Wangxiang Immortal. If you are lucky, you may be able to reach the 400 years. Although the easier it is to find that Purple Palace secret medicine, the harder it is to continue to accumulate the power of the Wafu, but there is no harm in giving it a try. So Elder Shiding called Luo Yan again and warned him that it is not advisable to be too ambitious. He also reminded him that the gap between the 2nd grade and 3rd grade golden elixir is probably the same as the gap between Qiu Changtai and Shiluli. Luo Yan felt funny when he heard it, but he knew that Elder Shiding was afraid that he would hastily form the elixir, and he would only form the 3rd grade when he had the opportunity to sprint to the 2nd grade, and his foundation would not be solid enough. In this way, after I form the elixir, it will be difficult to explain this strength to my master. Well, anyway, with Al Jing's illusion, I don't have to worry about my master being able to detect my true cultivation. I will talk about it when the time comes. Luo Yan dealt with the Elder Shiding casually, returned to his residence, and refined the Great Sun True Yan fire obtained from the Fire Yuan cave in Shushan into the acquired 5 elements divine light, and then teleported directly to Long Long. After all, Wei Dongliu had no master or sect, and the Wang Yi Shi Jing sword was forcibly subdued, and he could not be trusted just like Fati and Yaksha. The Baidojin silkworm gear was probably not very useful, so he did not read this file. Arriving at Jianmu Island in the Eastern Empire realm, Long Long found an opportunity to leave the Kanglong clan and flew all the way to the east. Until a vast ocean was covered for 1,000 miles and there were no traces of any cultivators' activities, Long Long finally stopped and began to arrange the 9 bends of the Yellow River Formation on the spot. The tripod was suspended in the center, and then 360 formation flags were scattered into the surrounding space. Originally, according to the mechanism of the 9 bends of the Yellow River Formation, a confusion immortal pill could be placed in the tripod, so that the 9 bends of the Yellow River Formation could actively attack the outside world, seal people's cultivation with golden light, and absorb them into the formation. However, firstly, the immortal pill was with Witch Jiang, and secondly, what they had to fight this time was a heavenly tribulation. What was the point of attacking proactively? He was thankful that he could block the thunderbolt outside, but he also took it into the formation proactively. Was he not satisfied that he was not dying fast enough? Therefore, he did not read Wei Dongliu's file and asked Witch Jing to retrieve the immortal pill. Instead, he chose to set up a purely defensive 9-curved Yellow River Formation. With a life and death battle imminent, Long Long just arranged the formation in an orderly manner without any nervousness on his face. Kunlun Mirror, on the other hand, was a little impatient, so he quietly asked King Ping Sword, "Do you think he can successfully survive the heavenly tribulation this time?" "If it was someone else, I can't say." King Ping Sword replied, "But if it was him, if he wasn't sure, do you think he would dare to survive this heavenly tribulation?" Kunlun Mirror was silent for a moment, and said, "That makes sense." Although they had no confidence in his strength, the Mirror and the Sword was very aware of his character. They both believed that with his flexibility, he would definitely survive the 1st-grade condensed pill tribulation. After Long Long finished setting up the formation, he sat in the center of the 9-bend Yellow River Formation and asked Arjun to switch him directly to Qiu Changtai's template to obtain the talent of Taoism's clear mind and immunity to the devil. King Ping Sword, Lizi Sword, and Wangzhu Sword surrounded his body, Tian Yuan Yiki sword stood behind him, and Wang Time Kun's sword was across his knees. Tiangong Bai Baho bag was hung on his waist, Yun Lang Chuang ice pot was placed in his arms, Li Gong cone in his left hand, and Li Gong hammer in his right hand. Slowly adjusting his breathing, Qiu Chang's hand began to operate the down-forming hard method of Nine Heavens King Wei, entering the realm after he reached the best state. First, the Taoist true essence in the Jade Mansion was activated to separate the two pure true essences of True Yang and True Yin. Because Qiu Chang's hand had taken 5 kinds of Purple Mansion secret medicines, all 5 elements were complete, and Yin Hui Yuan's and Water and Yang Xia Human Dan helped. The True Yang and True Yin in the Danton were extremely pure at this time, without a trace of impurities. Soon, the True Yang was transformed into the shape of a blue dragon, and the True Yin was transformed into the shape of a white tiger, ready to start the dragon and tiger helping each other. With the appearance of the two true essences of the dragon and the tiger, dense clouds of disaster quickly emerged in the sky, perhaps because the formation of the elixir is to seize the fortune of heaven and earth. If you form the elixir against heaven, you will be backlashed. Qiu Chang's hand remained calm, just slightly raised his eyelids and looked at the sky. In the elixir field, the dragon and the tiger were still circling around each other, plundering the remaining true essence in the sea of Qi to strengthen themselves. According to the elixir formation method, to form a perfect golden elixir, the first step is to transform the true essence into a dragon and a tiger. The second step is to generate string Qi with the dragon and the tiger. The true essence of the blue dragon belongs to wood, and the corresponding string Qi belongs to fire, which will be transformed into the red bird. The true essence of the white tiger belongs to gold, and the corresponding string Qi belongs to water, which will be transformed into the black tortoise. The third step is, wood, fire, metal and water combine. The dragon and tiger are emotionally connected, the 4 images meet in the center, and the merits are attributed to the earth Adwenji. That is to say, when the 4 images are fully prepared, the earth element will be generated in the center of the Jade Palace, which is called Wanpo. The 4 images will be integrated, and this golden elixir will be completed. Thinking of this, I saw that the calamity clouds in the sky were already very thick, almost completely blocking the sunlight. The seawater below was also rolling and surging, as if a storm was coming, and the sun and moon were dark. The sky and the earth were dark, and there was a strong wind, mixed with raindrops blowing in the face, and the killing atmosphere became stronger. Qiu Chang's hand didn't care, just continued to sit upright, circulated the Danton true essence, and let the dragon and tiger continue to wander and grow in the Jade Palace. I saw that the calamity cloud was getting lower and lower, and gradually, as if it couldn't bear the burden, it released the thunder inside, but it was countless bright white light balls, floating down like goose feathers and heavy snow. The first wave of the 5 elements calamity was actually the most dangerous pure Yang Zhengjin thunder in the 5 elements calamity. Chapter 473 5 Elements Tribulation Thunder, Various Changes. Pure Yang Zhengjin thunder is the most dangerous heavenly tribulation among the 5 elements. Gold has a sharp aura, Zhengjin is particularly lethal, and pure Yang can double its power. Simply put, pure Yang Zhengjin thunder is 3 fiercenesses in one, fiercer than before. Qiu Chang's hand was silent for a moment, then separated the sword energy from the Wanzhu sword and tentatively shot it upwards. The sword energy hit a bright white thunderball, and the thunderball suddenly exploded, and dense Zhengjin aura burst out from it, splashing in all directions. These Zhengjin auras soon detonated more bright white thunderballs around them, releasing more Zhengjin auras, just like a chain reaction of a nuclear bomb. The number and scale of these auras soon reached a certain extremely terrifying level, and they fell down in an overwhelming manner. Qiu Chang's iron. He only had time to activate the 9 bends of the Yellow River Formation before he was drowned in white light. After the 9-bend Yellow River Formation was activated, a large amount of dark wind and black fog rose, as thick as the sea and as vast as the ocean. The first wave of Zhengjin Qi rushed into the 9-bend Yellow River Formation, and it was like a mud cow entering the sea, and soon disappeared without a trace. Then the second wave, the third wave, the fourth wave, and the fifth wave rushed into it, and the 9-bend Yellow River Formation retreated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Qiu Chang's hand was so shocked that he quickly activated the Taoist method green mist cover and the Kanshan Mountains on the Kingping sword at the same time, spreading a large area of the thick fog prohibition method. These sword energies fell into the thick fog and gradually disappeared without a trace. Qiu Chang's hand breathed a sigh of relief, and saw that 1/3 of the flags of the 9-bend Yellow River Formation were destroyed by the pure Yang Zhengjin thunder. As we all know, if a formation is arranged to resist the heavenly tribulation, the power of the heavenly tribulation will increase accordingly. But if the formation is not arranged, what can be used to resist these heavenly tribulations? With a sigh, Kyo Chang's hand took out the pill bottle from his arms. Before he could take the medicine, he saw that the calamity cloud became lower and lower, and suddenly a large number of light balls came out. This time, it was a black light ball, as light as cloud ink, as tense as stars, 3 times faster than the pure Yangjin thunder, pressing down like an angry swarm of bees. Cunning water thunder. The second wave of the 5 elements calamity came so fast that there was no time to swallow that pill. Kyo Chang's time did not dare to neglect it. He learned from the last lesson and did not rashly use any means to test it. Instead, he directly urged the 1,000 pine and 10,000 bamboo swords to differentiate thousands of sword ki and shoot them upwards with the sword control technique. The wood sword ki and the Cunning water thunder rushed together, and the sound of annihilation was endless. It was also thanks to Kyo Chang's time's powerful true essence that he could differentiate so many wood sword ki. However, after being destroyed by the sword energy at Wanzhu sword, those light-inked Cunning water mines split into many smaller black light balls, which made Kyo Chang's time sweat coldly. So your robbery thunder has the ability to split after death. Kyo Chang's time soon realized that he couldn't fight the Cunning water mines with sword energy. Because Gi water belongs to the water of endless life, the more it is fought, the more it will be. In the end, the number of sword energy can't keep up with the number of robbery thunders, and then a large number of robbery thunders will fall down, which will consume the formation flags of the Nightbend's Yellow River formation. We have to use real large-scale attack methods. Kyo Chang's time frowned, and the trump cards he could use flashed through his mind quickly. Then he pinched the Do formula and pointed to the sky. The acquired 5 elements extinction divine light. The water-based swordsmanship of the Kingping sword is compatible with the 5 elements of the Cunning water thunder. The Yunlang Fang ice pot is also useless. The sword-based dualism of the Wanzhu sword and the leads disorder all multiple dualism, such as how many sword ki are generated, etc. And there is no real wide area dualism like by Waikangyuan. As for the Tiangong by Bahu bag and the spare flying sword, they are all disposable consumables and cannot be used here. Under the heavenly tribulation, hesitation is a taboo. Kyo Chang's time's true essence was activated, and the divine light swept towards the Chuanju inlay in the sky, immediately clearing all the inlay that covered the sky. He quickly dispersed the 5 elements of divine light, and Kyo Chang's time found that his true essence had been consumed by 1/6. Even though he had been prepared, he still felt very distressed. The dragon and tiger essence in the Danton was still moving, but because of the decrease in the total amount of essence, their actions to strengthen themselves were also somewhat sluggish. He quickly stuffed a pill into his mouth and raced against time to refine the medicinal power, but before 3 breaths, the thunder above his head spit out a 3rd round of thunder. The thunder was deep red, like magma, falling rapidly like rain, and the surrounding light was distorted by the heat flow. Thunderbolt and fire thunder. This thunderbolt and fire thunder is different from the Samadhi true fire thunder. Although it is not as powerful as the latter, the trouble is that it will explode, and the explosion range is very large, so it must not be allowed to get close. Kyo Chang's time took a deep breath and made a decision quickly. He sacrificed the Yunlang Frost Ice pot, and under the urging of the true essence, he shot the Yunlang Frost Ice upwards. Yunlang Frost Ice hit the Bing Fire Thunder and immediately caused it to explode directly. The high temperature jet and shockwave of the explosion spread out for hundreds of feet. Wherever the flames swept, other Bingo thunders suddenly grew stronger, as if they had absorbed the energy of the exploding thunderbolt Bingo thunder. Kyo Chang's iron. He knew that he had no way out at this time, so he could only use the Yunlang Frost Ice pot with all his strength. The Yunlang Frost Ice in it sprayed upwards like it was free, almost interweaving into a dense barrage. A large number of thunderbolt Bingo thunders were blasted by the Yunlang Frost Ice. The spreading high-temperature jets almost illuminated the entire sky red, and the remaining Bingo thunders became more and more sturdy and huge, and later became almost thousands of feet wide, like a scorching sun, which had already passed half the distance in the air and pressed heavily towards Kyo Chang's iron. Kyo Chang's iron's forehead was already sweating slightly, but his face remained unchanged. The Yunlang Frost Ice had been used up, and he had to activate the next trump card. Yes, I got it. Isn't it just a conflict between water and fire? He made a sword gesture with his hand, and the Kingping sword shot out and rushed towards the Bingo Giant Thunder in the air. Compared with the diameter of the Bingo Giant Thunder, which was several miles long, the Kingping sword was like a toothpick, piercing directly into the Bingo Giant Thunder without causing any ripples. Qiu Chang's Iron changed the sword gesture and quickly activated the sword method North Wind Rolling White Feather. The powerful water-based sword energy shot out from the Kingping sword, immediately causing a violent explosion inside the Bingo Giant Thunder. The Bingo energy that was abundant to the extreme burst out, as if a hydrogen bomb exploded in the air, pressing down on Qiu Chang's Iron from above with an irresistible terrifying force. Qiu Chang's Iron was caught off guard and could only pinch the Taoist tactic and use the acquired 5 elements Great Extinction Divine Light again. Although the Bingo energy exceeded the standard, it was still in the 5 elements. After being swept by the 5 elements divine light, it was immediately like a raging fire covered by white snow, and it was extinguished in an instant. Qiu Chang's Iron hurriedly dispersed the 5 elements of divine light, and saw that only half of his true essence was left. How could a plant name describe his mood at this moment? The elixir he had taken before was still in his stomach, and he had no time to refine it. He had to ask Arjun for help. Arjun, help me, delay time. Kunlun Mirror sighed and had to use illusion to cover Qiu Chang's Iron's figure. It should be known that the heavenly tribulation locks on the origin of a person, and has nothing to do with the body, appearance, or soul. Therefore, it is impossible to avoid the heavenly tribulation by escaping, reloading, or even taking over the body. However, the Mirror Flower and Water Moon of Kunlun Mirror is a rare illusion that can disguise the origin through simulated synchronization. The robbery cloud in the sky spit out robbery thunder again, but this time it was a large amount of brown stone rain, called Witch's Hen 2 Lady, which is a relatively simple robbery thunder. Obviously, due to the disguise of Kunlun Mirror, the grade of the golden elixir formed by the robbery cloud and other cultivators below was misjudged, and the power of the robbery thunder was significantly reduced. Qiu Chang's Iron heaved a sigh of relief, and while continuing to refine the medicinal power, he controlled the Wang Time Kun sword and messed with the Wuji's Hen 2 Thunder to delay time. Pay attention. Kunlun Mirror suddenly said, it's almost impossible to hide it. Qiu Chang's Iron. The robbery cloud in the sky suddenly stagnated, and then it seemed to be furious, completely ignoring that the 4th wave of robbery thunder had not yet ended, and it sprayed new robbery thunders downwards. This time it was a green lightning, which quickly condensed into countless dragon shapes in the air. It was the most powerful Qi-Kingling thunder among the wood-type robbery thunders. Although its power was not as strong as Binyu and Zhengjin, its flying speed was extremely fast and flexible, and even the Wang Time Kun sword could not catch up. It soon crossed the sword path to intercept and rushed towards Qiu Chang's Iron. Chapter 474. This heavenly calamity has passed. The nature of the 5 elements of thunder is similar to the 5 elements. The metal element is sharp and has strong single-unit attack power. The fire element is violent and has strong group attack power. The earth element is heavy and has strong defense. The water element is feminine and flexible. The wood element is light and swift. At this time, the Qi-Kingling thunder is the swift and swift characteristics of the wood element that have been brought to the extreme. Although the Wang Time Kun sword is a flying sword, it can't catch up with the speed of the thunder. Qiu Chang's Iron was stunned when he saw this, and countless thoughts flashed through his mind in an instant. First of all, no matter how many means you have to be able to hit the heavenly tribulation. Secondly, if the speed of the flying sword can't catch up, then what means can you use to catch up with the Qi-Kingling thunder? Although the Wang Time Kun sword does fly quite slowly. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind, and Qiu Chang's Iron made a decision again. Thunder Sword. Long before, with the help of the Kingping sword, the Thunder Sword finally remembered another function of itself. One of the reasons why Pulshan of ancient Kunlun chose thunder to forge the 9 heavens Thunder Sword was to overcome the tribulation, of course, the fatal tribulation of advancing to the nascent soul stage. Through long-term thunder training, the Thunder Sword has a certain directional magnetic property. Simply put, it can attract thunder. Qiu Chang's Iron pinched the sword formula, and the Thunder Sword screamed and was forced to launch into the air. The sword body began to emit a beating magnetic light. Like a group of sharks smelling blood, all the flying Qi-Kingling thunders turned around and chased the Thunder Sword. Using the Thunder Sword to gather these thunders in one place, Qiu Chang's Iron looked extremely solemn and continued to carefully control the Thunder Sword to move. Suddenly, he raised his arms like lightning and shot forth his hand Chuanjiling for upwards. This talisman is indeed a derivative of the 9 heavens Pure Land Realm mantra. Wherever it passes, all the blue thunderbolts become dim and their flying speed slows down greatly. Now, Qiu Chang's Iron tried his best to mobilize the remaining true essence and recited the spell, sounding the 3 realms, Divine Thunder, Break. A jet thunder was launched, hitting the still fleeing legion, and the surrounding kindling thunderbolts that were slowed down and had no time to escape were all annihilated by the spreading shock wave. Qiu Chang's time quickly refined the medicinal power and quickly recovered only 1/3 of the true essence left, but secretly breathed a sigh of relief and relaxed. Guanshui, be careful. Kunlun Mirror suddenly warned. Qiu Chang's time suddenly found that a demon was invading his sea of consciousness. I didn't expect this demon calamity to come so quickly, and the 5 elements calamity had just passed. Fortunately, the talent of the clear mind of Taoism not only allows Qiu Chang's time to detect the invasion of the demon at any time, but also to concentrate his consciousness at any time and expel it from his heart. Qiu Chang's time was silent, his face was calm as water, as if he didn't notice the existence of the inner demon, just concentrating on refining the medicinal power and continuing to restore his true essence. Kunlun Mirror wanted to persuade him again, but King Ping Sword turned back and reminded him. Don't worry, he is stalling for time. Kunlun Mirror. It quickly realized. If Qiu Chang's time directly expelled the inner demon, then the robbery cloud would find that the inner demon calamity had been overcome and would quickly smash the last wave of yin and yang calamity. On the contrary, if Qiu Chang's time pretended to be unable to hold on, the robbery cloud would continue to wait for the inner demon to make achievements, and he could take the opportunity to quietly restore his true essence. Oh. Wonderful. You are worthy of Guanshui, you are really cunning. Qiu Chang's time continued to act, quickly restored his true essence to 1/2, and swallowed another pill. At this time, the demon that invaded the sea of consciousness also realized that something was wrong, because the speed of occupying this person's mind was too slow. It then exerted its sinister magical power with all its strength, and the erosion speed increased rapidly, almost occupying Qiu Chang's time's sea of consciousness. Kunlun Mirror was worried again, and he wanted to take action to drive out the demon. Qiu Chang's time seemed to have just noticed it, and a panicked look appeared on his face. He began to concentrate on resisting the invasion of the demon. On the one hand, he showed his superb acting skills, and his face was terrified, but in fact he controlled the strength of the confrontation to the extent that he was just equal to the demon. On the other hand, he continued to refine the medicinal power, and restored his true essence to 2/3, 4/5, 7/8, finally. Finally, the sea of Qi was refilled, and the true essence was restored. Qiu Chang's time immediately abandoned all distractions, concentrated his mind, and drove the demon out directly. The demon was driven out of his body and turned into a thick black gas, rushing towards the robbery cloud above. Then the robbery cloud struck a thunderbolt, screamed, and the black smoke disappeared instantly. Qiu Chang's iron. Really killing the donkey after it has done its work? Oh, that's not right. The heavenly tribulation and the demon are not in the same group, it just temporarily allowed the demon to invade. Since the heart demon's invasion failed, it has no value to the heavenly tribulation, so it is only natural to destroy it. At this time, he has survived the 5 elements tribulation, the heart demon tribulation, and the last yin and yang tribulation is left. Yunnan Chuang's ice pot has been exhausted and useless, but the other magic weapons and flying swords are all intact. The main reason is that he used various Taoist methods to survive the tribulation, and his true essence was consumed. However, by cooperating with the heart demon to play a wave of heavenly tribulation, he gained time to refine the elixir and replenished his true essence. Even the 9 bends of the Elo River formation is more than 2/3 intact. Perfect. Seeing this, Kunlun Mirror and King Ping Sword couldn't help but have more confidence in him. With the support of abundant true essence, in Qiu Chang's time's Jade Palace, the pure yang and pure yin finally completely transformed into the shape of dragon and tiger, and gave birth to the 2 Qi of sparrow and turtle, circling around the center of the Jade Palace, waiting for the critical moment of fusion and forming the elixir. At the same time, the calamity clouds above his head became thicker and deeper, and the height was extremely low at this time, which made Qiu Chang's time recall the scene when his senior brother Zhu Chang King passed the calamity. The calamity clouds at this height only meant one thing, that is, the big one is coming. The 5 flying swords were ready at the same time, the thunder hammer and thunder comb were also at hand, the Tiangong treasure bag was ready to be used at any time, and the true essence was in perfect condition. If it really doesn't work, there is still an ultimate retreat, which is the Tianu Divine Shuttle that has just unlocked the first layer. After opening it, it will directly distort time and space and be immune to all damage. It's past. It's past, it's past, this time the heavenly calamity will definitely pass. Qiu Chang's time was thinking excitedly, and he saw the calamity clouds above his head, which were ready to go, finally spit out the first wave of calamity thunder of the Yin-Yang calamity. 108,000 Qin pooling Synopsis thunders quickly spread out in all directions under the calamity clouds, as if they were an army about to launch a charge. Qiu Chang's face turned pale again. In the distance, in the north of the East China Sea, a giant black turtle was floating slowly on the sea, taking a lazily nap. Suddenly, he raised his huge head and looked at the dense and murderous gloomy calamity clouds in the distance. Is someone going through the calamity? Looking at the power of this calamity cloud, it doesn't look like a transformation calamity, but more like a soul-refining calamity. Well, if it's a new demon king with such potential, he is worthy of me seeing it. Thinking of this, the giant turtle stretched out his limbs and slowly and leisurely paddled towards the direction of the calamity cloud that everyone was trying to avoid. Chapter 475. Qin removes Sims, and Qin eliminates Sims. The Qin Fenming expelling sin divine thunder is only occasionally mentioned in the classics, and it is said that it punishes sins in the dark, and the souls are melted and the bones are dissolved, which shows its terrifying power. To put it more simply, this Qin Fenming expelling sin divine thunder is a tribulation thunder that only appears during the fetal tribulation, and its power is used to deal with those Jindan cultivators who want to form a Yuanying. What are you doing in my damn condensation tribulation? I'm just an ordinary foundation building cultivator. Before Qiu Chang's had time to complain, he saw 180,000 Qin Fenming expelling sin divine thunders scattered in the air, pouring down like a violent storm. Qiu Chang's was so frightened that his soul was gone, and it seemed that 6 of his 3 souls and 7 spirits had gone away in an instant. He quickly raised the Thunder God Hammer and Thunder God Cone, poured his true essence into them, and smashed them hard into the sky. Before the thunder came out, half of his true essence was gone in an instant, and Qiu Chang's almost vomited blood out of heartache. The Thunder God Cone suddenly lit up, and the silver white arc gathered at the tip. Then it trembled violently, spitting out a lightning snake several thousand feet long, and rushed towards the sky full of Qin Fenmin pooling Sing God Thunder. The snake rushed around wildly, like a greedy snake, swallowing almost 1/3 of the Qin Tribulation Thunder. However, all the Qin Tribulation Thunder that was hit exploded in its body, and soon the snake was also bruised and dying. Seeing that the Texao Thunder only cleared 1/3 of the Qin Tribulation Thunder, it could no longer hold on. Qiu Chang's was awed in his heart and could only reach for the Tiangong treasure bag. During the days when Luoyan was refining the Great Sun True Fire, he also asked his senior brother Ling Yushu for many low-level flying swords that had been cast before. There were not many, probably only more than 8,000, and they were free. Who let me have a senior brother who was proficient in sword casting? Qiu Chang's slapped his hand on the Tiangong treasure bag, and a large number of low-level flying swords with different shapes and colors spit out from the bag. They surrounded the central tripod of the Nine-Bend Yellow River Formation and quickly formed another complex sword formation. A large formation inside a small formation, a compound formation. In today's cultivation world, there are no more than 10 people who can play this trick. Qiu Chang's pinched the dough formula again and drew the sword formation, making these low-level flying swords like Maxim machine gun bullets, madly shooting at the Qin Tribulation Thunder above. Every flying sword hit a Qin Tribulation Thunder, just like wood thrown into red-hot molten iron, and immediately broke and dissolved. However, the sword drew sealed inside the flying sword, the alien true essence in it destroyed the stability of the Qin Tribulation Thunder, causing the Qin Tribulation Thunder to be triggered and exploded. The shockwave of the explosion and the fragments of the flying sword often splash and explode the nearby thunderbolts, making it difficult to judge the situation. Qiu Chang's quickly estimated visually that one flying sword could be destroyed together with 3 to 4 thunderbolts. In this way, when all the flying swords are destroyed, there will probably be 1/3 of the thunderbolts left, and they can only rely on the Nine-Bend Yellow River Formation and Taoism to resist. But this Yin-Yang tribulation has only passed the first wave, and there is still a more fierce Yang Thunder tribulation behind. Qiu Chang's mind sank. The more critical the situation, the colder his mind became like steel. He quickly took out the pill bottle from his arms, poured out 3 pills, took them and refined them, and replenished the true essence consumed by the Texao Thunder. At this time, he had already analyzed the situation clearly. If there is unlimited true essence, with all kinds of powerful attack methods he has, it is more than enough to deal with these thunderbolts. The biggest obstacle is the consumption of true essence. The heavenly tribulation is mighty, its momentum is very great, and it is very urgent. After the true essence is consumed, there is no time for you to replenish it calmly. The only way is to use some means to snatch time from the heavenly tribulation to replenish the true essence. For example, the formation, the flying sword, the mirror, and so on. More than 8,000 flying swords have been consumed, and there are indeed more than 30,000 Chin Tribulation Thunders left. Kyo Chang's Time watched the Chin Tribulation Thunders descend indifferently and activated the Night Bend Yellow River formation again. The wind was gloomy and the black air was gloomy. The Chin Tribulation Thunder fell into it and was soon annihilated by the formation. Kyo Chang's Time watched the formation closely, and shot the Kingping Sword, the Li Zi Sword, the Wanzhou Sword, the Tianyuan Yeki Sword and the Wangtan Kun Sword in turn to destroy the Chin Tribulation Thunders that threatened the formation flags. However, even if it was saved to the greatest extent, due to the extremely astonishing number of Chin Tribulation Thunders, the formation flags of the Night Bend Yellow River formation were still destroyed at an exaggerated speed. Soon, the Night Bend Yellow River formation was completely destroyed by the Chin Tribulation Thunder, and only the central tripod beside Kyo Chang's Time remained. At this time, there were still hundreds of Chin Tribulation Thunders left, whistling towards Kyo Chang's Time who was sitting below. Kyo Chang's Time's face was as gloomy as water, and he remained calm. He fired a Chi Thunder to destroy the Chin Tribulation Thunder that rushed to the vicinity. He also watched the Wanzhou Sword to release a large amount of sword energy, and shot the last remaining Tribulation Thunder point by point. At this time, he was almost at the end of his robe. Whether it was the Yulam Shuang Ice Pot or the spare flying sword, they were all consumed, and even the Nine Bend Yellow River formation was damaged by the first wave of Yin and Yang tribulation. Now that he only had 2/3 of his true essence left, it was almost impossible for him to survive the Yang Thunder tribulation. He had to think of a way. However, the low tribulation cloud in the sky obviously did not intend to give Kyo Chang's time to think of a way. After a slight pause, these tribulation clouds spit out new tribulation thunders again, the number of which was slightly less than before, about more than 10,000. Compared to the dim and lightless Qin Fenmin exorcist thunder, this time the thunder was pure white and crystal clear, emitting a kind of holy luster. However, when Kyo Chang's time saw these white thunders, his body tensed up involuntarily, and he felt as if a bucket of cold water was poured from head to toe. The sun's true exorcist thunder. Known as the most terrifying thunder in the fetal formation, almost no Jindan cultivator can survive it and advance to the nascent soul stage, at least there is no record of it in the classics. There is no doubt that if the previous 5 elements tribulation was just an appetizer and the heart demon tribulation was tea, then the yin and yang tribulation was the final meal. A huge meal that was enough to make him die. Kyo Chang's time sighed and took out another small tripod from his body. The formation that corresponds to this tripod is the Thorn-Hidden formation. It was originally designed by Lui Yan for Senior Sisterin in the Baiyuzheng competition. Later, it was discovered that this formation was not needed at all. Senior Sisterin could be killed with just the acquired 5 elements Extinction Divine Light, if it was not for the last minute. The effect of this formation is to counter-injure. For example, if a fairy sword is shot into the formation, the damage caused to the formation will be fed back to the fairy sword itself intact. If the fairy sword is the natal sword, then it will also cause corresponding damage to the body of the cultivator who controls the sword. Kyo Chang's time didn't know whether damage would be rebounded if the solar tribulation thunder was counter-injured, but he didn't have much choice at this time, and could only try all possible means. After all, if he died in the heavenly tribulation, then there would be no point in keeping this formation. The tripod was urged by Kyo Chang's time and shot into the air at a high speed. This is the advantage of the ancient formation. It can be fully integrated on the tripod, making it easy to carry, or launch. The cauldron of the Thorn-Hidden array flew faster and faster, and soon it was submerged in the array of solar tribulation thunder. In an instant, it seemed as if the sun exploded in the air, and the intense light shone on every corner of the sky. Kyo Chang's time had to close his eyes to avoid the strong light, and he didn't open his eyes again until Kunlun Mirror shouted to remind him. He saw that the solar tribulation thunder in the sky above his head had decreased by about 2,000. There were about 8,000 divine thunders left, and each one could blow Kyo Chang's time to pieces. Since traveling through time, the biggest crisis for the Savior has come. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.